Welcome to a journey beneath the waves, where we'll explore the quiet mysteries of our ocean depths. Let the rhythm of these waters calm your mind as we drift together through some of nature's most peaceful wonders. Imagine descending slowly through blue water, the sunlight gradually fading above you. The ocean, covering more than 70% of our planet's surface, holds secrets that have remained hidden for millions of years. And tonight, we're going to discover just a few of them together. Our first wonder takes us to the twilight zone of the ocean, a realm that exists between 200 and 1,000 meters below the surface. Here, in this dim, peaceful transition between light and darkness, something remarkable occurs. 90% of the ocean's creatures produce their own light through a gentle process called bioluminescence. These living lanterns drift through the darkness, creating what some have described as an underwater aurora. Each tiny flash, each soft glow, is a conversation in light, a peaceful symphony playing out in the eternal twilight. Let's drift deeper now, down to where the ocean floor reveals its most dramatic features. The Mariana Trench, located in the western Pacific Ocean, descends to a depth that challenges our imagination. Picture this. If you were to take Mount Everest, that magnificent peak that reaches nearly 9,000 meters into the sky, and place it gently into the deepest part of the Mariana Trench, its summit would still rest more than 2 kilometers beneath the ocean's surface. The Challenger Deep, as this lowest point is known, reaches down nearly 11,000 meters below sea level. What's truly calming to consider is the stillness at such depths. Down there, beyond the reach of storms, beyond the push and pull of surface currents, the water maintains a constant, peaceful temperature just above freezing. It's a world of eternal quiet, eternal darkness, and eternal calm. Time moves differently in such places, measured not in minutes or hours, but in the slow rhythm of geological ages. But even in these extreme depths, life finds a way, not just to survive, but to thrive in ways that seem almost magical. Let me tell you about the glass sponge reefs, some of Earth's oldest living structures. Off the coast of British Columbia, in waters several hundred meters deep, these ancient organisms have been building their delicate homes for thousands of years. Some of these reef structures are estimated to be 9,000 years old, meaning they began growing when humans were just beginning to develop agriculture. Each glass sponge is a marvel of natural engineering, made from silica, the same material as glass, creating structures of such delicate beauty they seem almost crystalline. These reefs grow incredibly slowly, perhaps only a few millimeters each year. There's something deeply peaceful about contemplating such patient growth. No rush, no urgency, just the steady accumulation of mineral upon mineral, year after year, creating cathedral-like structures in the ocean's quiet depths. These ancient beings remind us that some of nature's greatest achievements come from simply persisting, day after day, in gentle constancy. Now, let's visit a gentler ecosystem, one filled with color and life. Coral reefs, often called the rainforests of the sea, are home to an extraordinary community of life. Though coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, they provide shelter and sustenance for approximately 25% of all marine species. Imagine that gentle proportion, such a small footprint supporting such magnificent diversity. Within the branching arms of coral, between the swaying sea fans and across the rocky outcrops, countless fish find safety, food, and places to raise their young. But here's what makes corals truly remarkable. Each coral structure, whether it resembles a brain, a table, or delicate fingers reaching upward, is actually a colony of thousands of tiny animals called polyps. These polyps, no bigger than a few millimeters each, work together to build structures that can be seen from space. During the day, they rest, their tentacles withdrawn. But at night, in a synchronized movement of exquisite grace, millions upon millions of these tiny polyps extend their tentacles to feed, transforming the reef into a soft, undulating garden beneath the moon. Each polyp contains within its tissues microscopic algae called zooxanthellae, which photosynthesize during the day, sharing their food with their coral hosts. It's a partnership millions of years old, a reminder that even in nature, cooperation and mutual support create the most beautiful outcomes. Speaking of partnerships, let me share with you one of the ocean's most endearing relationships. In the warm waters where sea anemones attach themselves to rocks, their tentacles swaying in the current, you'll often find clownfish making their homes. Most fish would be stung by an anemone's tentacles, which contain toxins designed to capture prey. But clownfish have developed a special mucus coating that protects them, allowing them to swim freely among these stinging tentacles. The anemone provides the clownfish with safety from predators, while the clownfish, in turn, brings food scraps to its host and drives away fish that might harm the anemone. What's particularly soothing to observe is how clownfish interact with their anemone homes. They perform what looks like a dance, gently brushing against the tentacles, maintaining their protective coating. Watch a clownfish for any length of time, and you'll see it rarely strays far from its anemone home. There's something comforting in such loyalty, such commitment to home and partnership. These relationships can last for many years. Some clownfish pairs live their entire lives within the same anemone, raising generation after generation of young among its protective tentacles. It's a story of trust and mutualism that has been playing out on coral reefs for countless ages. Let's descend once more, this time to meet one of the deep ocean's most mysterious residents, the giant squid, a creature that has inspired legends and captured imaginations for centuries, spends most of its life in the dark waters between 300 and 1,000 meters deep. For most of human history, giant squid were known only from fragments washed ashore or recovered from the stomachs of sperm whales. It wasn't until the year 2004 that scientists captured the first photographs of a living giant squid in its natural habitat, and not until 2012 that one was filmed in the deep ocean. Imagine being an animal that has existed for millions of years, yet remained essentially hidden from human eyes until the 21st century. Giant squid can grow to lengths of 13 meters or more, with eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. These enormous eyes allow them to detect the faintest traces of bioluminescence in the darkness, to spot prey or predators from great distances in their twilight realm. What's particularly calming to contemplate is this: despite their fearsome reputation in old maritime tales, giant squid are actually quite gentle creatures, rarely if ever aggressive and less threatened. They drift through the darkness, hunting fish and smaller squid, living lives we're only beginning to understand. They remind us that our world still holds mysteries, still contains wonders we've yet to fully comprehend. From the mysterious to the microscopic, let's consider one of the ocean's smallest but most important residents. Phytoplankton are tiny organisms, most no larger than a single cell, that drift in the sunlit upper layers of the ocean. Though individually invisible to our eyes, collectively these microscopic plants form vast, floating meadows that give certain areas of the ocean a distinctive color when viewed from space. And here's their gift to us. Phytoplankton produce approximately 50% of the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere. Every other breath you take, in and out, calm and steady, comes from these tiny organisms floating in the sea. Think about that for a moment. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out, letting your body relax, half of that life-giving oxygen was created by phytoplankton converting sunlight and carbon dioxide into oxygen and energy. They've been doing this for billions of years, these microscopic gardeners of the sea, making our planet habitable, making this very moment of peaceful breathing possible. Like the stars in the night sky, phytoplankton are too numerous to count individually, yet each one plays its role in the great cycle of life. They feed small fish, which feed larger fish, which feed marine mammals and seabirds, forming the foundation of nearly every ocean food web. Such tiny organisms, such tremendous importance. Now let me tell you about one of the ocean's most graceful navigators. The sea turtle, an ancient mariner whose ancestors swam alongside dinosaurs, undertakes one of nature's most remarkable journeys. Female sea turtles possess an extraordinary ability. They can return to the very beach where they were born, even after spending 20 or 30 years traveling thousands of kilometers across the open ocean. Scientists believe they navigate using Earth's magnetic field, carrying an internal compass that guides them home with remarkable precision. Picture this peaceful scene. A female green sea turtle, perhaps 80 years old, weighing as much as 200 kilograms, arrives at a moonlit beach. She hauls herself slowly across the sand, using flippers designed for swimming to crawl above the high tide line. There, she digs a nest with her rear flippers, carefully excavating a chamber in the cool sand. In the darkness, she lays her eggs, perhaps 100 or more, each about the size of a ping-pong ball. Then, with great care, she covers them, disguising the nest, before making her way back to the sea. It's a ritual unchanged for millions of years, performed in quiet solitude, driven by instinct older than mountains. The hatchlings that emerge weeks later, no bigger than your palm, will face incredible odds. Yet some will survive, swimming out into the vast ocean, beginning their own decades-long journeys. Some females among them will return to this very beach, continuing the ancient cycle. In the cold waters of the Arctic and Antarctic, beneath the floating ice, kelp forests create underwater cathedrals of astonishing beauty. Giant kelp, the largest seaweed in the world, can grow at a rate of up to 60 centimeters per day, making it one of the fastest-growing organisms on Earth. Imagine swimming through these underwater forests. The kelp fronds rise from the ocean floor like enormous trees, their golden brown blades swaying gently in the current, creating a rhythmic dance of light and shadow as sunlight filters down from above. These fronds can reach lengths of 4 to 5 meters or more, stretching from the seafloor to the surface. Within these swaying forests, entire communities thrive. Sea otters wrap themselves in kelp fronds to anchor themselves while they sleep, floating on their backs at the surface. Fish find shelter among the blades. Seals hunt in the shaded corridors between the kelp stems. Invertebrates of every description cling to the fronds and hold fasts. There's something deeply peaceful about the constancy of kelp forests. Despite their rapid growth, despite the constant movement of the current, they create spaces of remarkable stability. Animals that live there know each swaying blade, each hiding spot, each hunting ground. It's a world in motion that nevertheless feels eternal, always changing yet always the same. Let's end this first part of our journey with one of the deep ocean's most otherworldly creatures. The barrel-eye fish, discovered living at depths between 600 and 800 meters, possesses one of the most unusual adaptations in the animal kingdom. This small, dark fish, no longer than 15 centimeters, has a completely transparent dome on the top of its head. Through this clear covering, you can see its tubular eyes pointing upward, scanning the waters above for the silhouettes of prey against the faint light filtering down from the surface. For years, scientists who studied preserved specimens thought the eyes pointed only forward, seeing the world through the fish's transparent dome as if through a window. But in 2009, researchers using deep-diving robots filmed living barrel-eye fish and discovered something wonderful. Those tubular eyes can rotate within the transparent head, allowing the fish to look forward when needed while still maintaining their upward watch. Imagine being designed so perfectly for your environment. The barrel eye lives in the stillness of the deep ocean, conserving energy, floating nearly motionless while its upward-pointing eyes search for food. Its transparent head reduces its silhouette, making it nearly invisible to predators below. Every aspect of its being is in harmony with the quiet darkness of its home. As we pause here, 10 minutes into our journey, consider how we've barely scratched the surface of the ocean's wonders. There are still 90 more facts to discover, 90 more peaceful glimpses into the deep. Let your breathing slow, Let your mind drift like those kelp fronds swaying in the current, and know that the ocean's gentle mysteries will be here, waiting, whenever you're ready to continue. As we continue our descent into the ocean's peaceful depths, let's visit one of the most remarkable communities on Earth. Hydrothermal vents, discovered only in 1977, are places where superheated water erupts from cracks in the ocean floor, creating underwater geysers in the eternal darkness. These vents exist at depths where no sunlight has ever reached, in waters so deep the pressure would crush most submarines. The water emerging from these vents can reach temperatures of 400 degrees Celsius, yet just centimeters away, the surrounding ocean water remains near freezing. It's a place of dramatic contrasts, yet somehow life has found a way to thrive here. Around these vents, entire ecosystems exist completely independent of the sun. Instead of photosynthesis, these communities rely on chemosynthesis, where bacteria convert chemicals from the vent water into energy. These bacteria form the foundation of a food web that includes tube worms as tall as a person, ghostly white crabs, and pale shrimp with no eyes but organs on their backs that can sense heat. What's so calming to contemplate is the resilience of life. Even in conditions that seem impossibly hostile, in darkness that has existed since the ocean formed, life finds a foothold, creates communities, and flourishes in its own quiet way. These vents have been releasing their heated plumes for millennia, and will continue long after we're gone, eternal oases in the deep. Let me tell you now about one of the ocean's most graceful dances. The moon jellyfish, named for its translucent, circular bell that resembles a full moon, drifts through coastal waters in a meditation of movement. These gentle creatures are over 95% water, their bodies so transparent you can see through them to the ocean beyond. They have no brain, no heart, and no blood. Yet they've existed in Earth's oceans for over 500 million years, predating the first fish, the first trees, even the first insects on land. Watch a moon jellyfish move through the water, and you'll observe one of nature's most economical forms of locomotion. They pulse their bell in a rhythmic contraction and relaxation, moving with such fluid grace they seem to be breathing rather than swimming. This pulsing creates gentle vortices in the water, which actually help them capture tiny plankton to eat. Moon jellyfish often gather in large groups called blooms, sometimes numbering in the thousands. Imagine swimming through clear water and encountering this, countless translucent bells pulsing in synchronized rhythm, catching and reflecting the sunlight, creating an underwater light show of gentle, repetitive motion. Each pulse, each contraction, happening at its own perfect pace, unhurried, untroubled by the passage of time. They remind us that complexity isn't always necessary. Sometimes, the simplest designs persist the longest. Deep in the ocean, between depths of 201,000 meters, something magical happens each night. It's called the greatest migration on Earth, though most people have never heard of it. This is the daily vertical migration of the deep scattering layer. Each evening, as the sun sets and darkness spreads across the surface, billions upon billions of small fish, squid, jellyfish, and tiny crustaceans rise from the deep ocean toward the surface to feed. They travel hundreds of meters upward, following the darkness, seeking the rich waters where phytoplankton grow. Then, before dawn, they descend again, returning to the safety of the deep. This happens every single night in oceans around the world. The total mass of animals involved in this migration is so enormous that early sonar operators mistook it for the sea flu itself. They called it the deep scattering layer because their sound waves bounced off this dense mass of life, creating false echoes that seemed to show the bottom of the ocean rising and falling each day. Think about this quiet, global rhythm. While we sleep, while cities glow and most humans rest, the largest migration on our planet takes place beneath the waves. It's been happening every night for millions of years, will happen tonight, tomorrow night, and the night after that. There's Something deeply soothing about such constancy, such reliable natural rhythm, happening whether we notice it or not. In the cold waters of the Southern Ocean, where Antarctica's ice shelves meet the sea, lives a fish with one of nature's most elegant solutions to an extreme challenge. The Antarctic icefish has transparent blood and a white heart, earning it the nickname ghost fish among researchers. Most fish, like most animals, have red blood because of hemoglobin, the iron-rich protein that carries oxygen. But the Antarctic icefish has evolved to survive without it. Instead, oxygen simply dissolves directly into their clear blood plasma. This works because extremely cold water can hold much more dissolved oxygen than warm water, and the icefish's slow metabolism requires less oxygen overall. Swimming through Antarctic waters, these pale fish are nearly invisible, their translucent bodies blending seamlessly with the icy environment. Their hearts are 3 times larger than expected for their body size, pumping their clear blood through vessels you can see through their skin. These fish live in waters that hover around -1.8 degrees Celsius, cold enough to freeze most other fish solid. Yet they thrive in this frozen realm, moving slowly and methodically, conserving energy, perfectly adapted to a world that seems impossibly harsh to us. They've been living this way for millions of years, beneath the ice, in peaceful waters rarely disturbed by storms or surface turbulence. There's wisdom in their adaptation. When the environment changes, sometimes the answer isn't to fight harder, but to become something new. Let's rise now toward shallower waters, to the vibrant ecosystems of mangrove forests where land and sea meet in an intricate embrace. Mangrove trees grow with their roots in salt water, creating forests that exist in the tidal zone, flooded twice each day by the ocean's rhythm. These remarkable trees filter salt from seawater as they drink, concentrating it in specific leaves that they then drop, removing excess salt from their systems. Some mangroves excrete salt through special glands on their leaves, creating tiny salt crystals that sparkle in the sun. They've developed these abilities over millions of years, allowing them to thrive where most plants would wither and die. The roots of mangrove trees create an underwater labyrinth of extraordinary beauty. These arching, tangled roots provide nursery habitat for countless young fish, protecting them from predators while they grow. Shrimp hide among the roots. Crabs scuttle across them at low tide. Birds nest in the branches above. The entire system pulses with life. What's particularly soothing about mangrove forests is their role as protectors. They stabilize coastlines, preventing erosion. Their dense root systems absorb the energy of waves and storm surges, protecting inland areas from flooding. They filter pollutants from water before it reaches the open ocean. They even capture and store more carbon per square meter than most rainforests. These quiet guardians stand in the intertidal zone, neither fully land nor fully sea, serving both realms with patient constancy. The tide comes in, the tide goes out, and the mangroves remain steady and strong. In the cold, dark waters of the deep sea, there lives a shark that has mastered the art of patience. The Greenland shark, found in Arctic and North Atlantic waters, moves through the darkness so slowly, so deliberately, that it seems almost to be drifting rather than swimming. These massive sharks, which can grow to over 6 meters in length, are believed to be the longest living vertebrates on Earth. Scientists have used radiocarbon dating on the lenses of their eyes to estimate their age, and the results are astonishing. Some Greenland sharks may live for 400 years or more. The oldest specimen examined was estimated to be at least 392 years old. Imagine a shark alive today that was born before the founding of the United States, before the Industrial Revolution, during the reign of Elizabeth I of England. It has been swimming slowly through cold, dark waters for centuries, growing just 1 centimeter per year, hunting in its patient, unhurried way. Greenland sharks move at an average speed of only about 1 kilometer per hour, making them one of the slowest swimming sharks in existence. They feed on fish, seals, and even carrion that sinks from above, taking their time, conserving energy, never rushing. Most are blind or nearly blind, their eyes clouded by parasitic copepods that attach themselves there, yet this seems to matter little in the darkness where they live. These ancient sharks teach us something about time. 400 years is nothing to them. Just one lifetime measured in slow swimming and patient hunting in the eternal cold of the deep. Let's visit now one of the ocean's most remarkable architects. The parrotfish, with its beak-like mouth and vibrant colors, plays a role in the coral reef ecosystem that's far more important than its cheerful appearance might suggest. Parrotfish spend their days scraping algae from coral and rock surfaces with their specialized teeth, which are fused together to form a hard beak. But they don't just eat the algae. They also consume bits of the coral rock itself. This rock passes through their digestive system, where it's ground down further by teeth-like structures in their throat, then excreted as fine, white sand. A single large parrotfish can produce hundreds of kilograms of sand each year. Those beautiful white sand beaches you might have walked on, that fine powder between your toes, much of it came from parrotfish. Over time, millions of parrotfish, generation after generation, have created entire beaches, entire sand islands, through this peaceful process of eating and excreting. But their role goes beyond making beaches. By eating algae from coral surfaces, parrotfish keep the coral healthy. Without them, algae could overgrow the coral, smothering it. The parrotfish are gardeners, maintaining the balance of the reef through their constant, methodical grazing. At night, some species of parrotfish secrete a mucus cocoon around themselves before sleeping. This bubble takes about 30 minutes to create and serves as protection from predators while they rest. Imagine that, each night, spinning yourself a temporary shelter, then dissolving it each morning to begin another day of peaceful grazing. Beneath the surface of tropical seas, in the spaces between coral branches and under rocky overhangs, there lives a creature of remarkable intelligence. The octopus, with its 8 arms and ability to change color and texture in an instant, possesses a brain that works very differently from ours, yet produces behaviors of surprising complexity. An octopus has 9 brains, 1 central brain and a smaller brain in each of its 8 arms. This means each arm can act semi-independently, exploring a crevice or manipulating an object while the other arms do different tasks. 2/3 of an octopus's neurons are actually in its arms, not its head, giving them a form of distributed intelligence that scientists are still working to understand. These soft-bodied animals can squeeze through any opening larger than their hard beak, which is the only rigid part of their body. An octopus the size of a basketball can flow through a hole no bigger than a coin, its body rippling and compressing, moving like liquid through the smallest spaces. They are also masters of camouflage. An octopus can change not just its color, but its skin texture in less than a second, creating bumps and ridges that match the rocks or coral around it. They can become smooth as sand or rough as stone, can turn pale or dark, can create patterns that break up their outline, making them essentially invisible to both predators and prey. Perhaps most calming is watching an octopus at rest in its den, its body pulsing gently with breath, colors shifting subtly across its skin like dreams playing out on its surface. In those moments, they seem to exist in quiet contemplation, these ancient, alien intelligences sharing our ocean world. In the vast open ocean, far from any coast, where the water is kilometers deep and the nearest land might be days away in any direction, there float communities of life centered around an unlikely gathering point, driftwood. When a tree falls into a river and eventually reaches the sea, or when storms tear logs from coastal forests and carry them offshore, these pieces of wood become tiny oases in the oceanic desert. As they drift, carried by currents, they accumulate life. Barnacles attach themselves to the wood surface. Small crabs make homes in crevices. Fish gather in the log's shadow, sheltering from predators and the sun. These floating wood islands can drift for years, traveling hundreds or thousands of kilometers across the open ocean, carrying their communities with them. Some logs become so encrusted with life that they gain weight and eventually sink, carrying their passengers down to the deep sea floor, where they become food sources for deep-sea creatures in what scientists call wood falls. There's something profoundly peaceful about imagining these floating communities drifting across the endless blue. The log rises and falls with gentle swells, its passengers living out their lives on this tiny raft, beneath the stars at night, beneath the sun by day. For them, this piece of wood is an entire world, a home moving slowly across the vast ocean, going wherever the currents decide. It reminds us that home isn't always about staying in one place. Sometimes it's about having shelter and community wherever the journey takes you. Let's complete this section of our journey with one of the deep ocean's most mysterious events. In certain seasons, at certain depths, the ocean experiences what's known as marine snow, a gentle, continuous fall of organic particles descending from the sunlit surface waters down into the abyss below. This snow consists of dead plankton, fecal matter from marine animals, bits of degraded plant material, dust from land, and the tiny shells of microscopic organisms. Each particle is minute, often no larger than a speck of dust, but collectively they form a constant downward drift that feeds nearly all life in the deep ocean. The descent is slow, sometimes taking weeks for particles to drift from surface to seafloor in the deepest parts of the ocean. As they fall, they clump together, forming larger aggregates that tumble through the darkness in slow motion, catching what little light exists from bioluminescent creatures, creating scenes of unexpected beauty. Deep-sea creatures position themselves to catch this falling nutrition. Some extend feeding appendages into the current, filtering the marine snow from the water. Others wait on the sea floor for the nutritious particles to settle like a thin dusting over everything. This has been happening every day since complex life evolved in the oceans. Right now, even as you listen to these words, marine snow is falling through the darkness of the deep ocean, feeding the creatures that live beyond the reach of sunlight. It's a connection between surface and depth, between life in the light and life in the darkness, a gentle rain that never stops, linking all parts of the ocean in one continuous cycle. As we pause here at the 20-minute mark, imagine that slow fall through infinite blue-black waters, particles drifting downward in the eternal quiet. Let that image carry you deeper into relaxation, knowing there are 80 more wonders waiting to be discovered. As we journey further into the ocean's embrace, let's visit one of nature's most devoted parents. The emperor penguin, though a bird of the ice rather than a fish of the sea, spends most of its life in and around the Antarctic Ocean, and its story is one of remarkable dedication. During the brutal Antarctic winter, when temperatures drop to -40 degrees Celsius and winds howl at speeds that would knock a person off their feet, male emperor penguins stand together on the ice, each balancing a single egg on his feet, covered by a warm fold of skin called a brood pouch. The males fast for over 60 days, sometimes more than 100, losing nearly half their body weight while protecting their egg. They huddle together in massive groups, slowly rotating positions so each penguin gets a turn in the warm center of the huddle, then takes his turn on the cold outer edge. No penguin stays in the center. They share the warmth in a perfect example of communal cooperation. Meanwhile, the females have traveled to the ocean, sometimes over 100 kilometers across the ice, to feed and restore their strength. When they return, they can identify their mate and chick by voice alone among thousands of calling penguins. There's something deeply moving about this dedication. Standing in the coldest place on Earth, in total darkness through the Antarctic winter, protecting a fragile egg, trusting that spring will come, that the female will return, that life will continue. It's a testament to patience, endurance, and the power of partnership. Deep beneath the surface, in a world of perpetual twilight, lives a fish that carries its own fishing rod. The anglerfish, particularly the deep-sea species, has evolved one of the most ingenious hunting methods in the animal kingdom. Female anglerfish have a modified dorsal spine that extends forward above their mouth like a fishing pole, complete with a bioluminescent lure at the end. This lure contains light-producing bacteria that glow in the darkness, attracting curious prey. When a fish comes to investigate the mysterious light, the anglerfish's enormous jaws snap shut in an instant. But the story of the anglerfish contains an even stranger tale. Male anglerfish are much smaller than females, sometimes 10 times smaller. In the vast darkness of the deep ocean, finding a mate is extremely difficult. So when a male finds a female, he doesn't just mate with her. He bites into her skin and physically fuses with her body. Over time, the male's body degenerates. He loses his eyes, his internal organs. He becomes essentially a parasitic appendage, permanently attached, receiving nutrients from the female's bloodstream. In return, he provides sperm whenever she's ready to spawn. Some females have been found with multiple males attached to their bodies, creating what looks like a strange constellation of relationships. It sounds bizarre, yet in the context of the deep ocean, it makes perfect sense. In a world of darkness so complete, where finding another member of your species could take years or might never happen, this ensures reproduction. It's an extreme solution, certainly, but one that has allowed anglerfish to thrive in the deep ocean for millions of years. Let's rise toward the surface now to meet one of the ocean's most graceful filter feeders. The manta ray, with its elegant wing-like fins and gentle disposition, glides through tropical and subtropical waters performing underwater ballet. These magnificent creatures can grow to wingspans of over 7 meters, yet despite their size, they feed on some of the ocean's smallest organisms, tiny plankton and small fish. As they swim, manta rays funnel water into their enormous mouths using specialized flaps called cephalic fins. These fins, which extend forward from their heads like curved horns, help direct plankton-rich water toward their mouth. What makes mantas particularly special is their brain. They have the largest brain-to-body ratio of any fish, with a brain structure that includes areas associated with learning, problem-solving, and communication. Scientists have observed manta rays recognizing themselves in mirrors, something only a handful of animal species can do, suggesting a level of self-awareness we're only beginning to understand. Mantas are curious and gentle, often approaching divers with what seems like playful interest. They've been observed returning to specific cleaning stations where small fish remove parasites from their skin, sometimes queuing up and waiting their turn. They appear to recognize individual cleaner fish and the locations of reliable cleaning stations, returning to them regularly throughout their lives. Watch a manta ray glide through blue water, wings undulating in smooth waves, and you witness pure efficiency. No wasted movement, no unnecessary effort, just graceful forward motion through their liquid world. They remind us that power and gentleness can coexist, that size doesn't preclude grace. In the cold waters of the northern Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, there exists a creature whose age we cannot determine with certainty because it may never die of old age. The ocean cohig, a type of clam, holds the record for the longest-lived individual animal ever discovered. A specimen collected off the coast of Iceland was later determined, through counting growth rings in its shell much like counting tree rings, to be 507 years old when it was collected. Scientists named it Ming, because it was born during China's Ming dynasty around the year 1507. Think about that for a moment. This clam was already alive when Leonardo da Vinci was painting the Mona Lisa. It lived through the entire age of exploration, the founding of nations, countless wars and periods of peace, the Industrial Revolution, the invention of electricity, automobiles, airplanes, computers, and the Internet, all while sitting quietly on the ocean floor, filtering plankton from the cold water, accumulating growth rings in its shell year after year after year. Ocean quahorgs achieve this remarkable longevity through an extremely slow metabolism and efficient cellular repair mechanisms. They live in cold water, which slows their biological processes, and they simply persist day after day, decade after decade, century after century. Their existence reminds us that our human concept of time is just that, a human concept. For an ocean quahorg, 500 years isn't extraordinary. It's simply life, lived one filtered meal at a time in the patient darkness of the seafloor. Now let's explore one of the ocean's most important yet often overlooked ecosystems, seagrass meadows. Unlike seaweed, which is algae, seagrasses are true flowering plants that have returned to the ocean after their ancestors evolved on land millions of years ago. These underwater meadows carpet vast areas of shallow ocean floor in tropical and temperate regions around the world. The grasses grow slowly but steadily, their long, ribbon-like leaves swaying in the current like an underwater prairie. And like prairies on land, these meadows are incredibly productive ecosystems. Seagrass meadows provide nursery habitat for countless fish species, offering shelter from predators and abundant food. Sea turtles graze on the grasses themselves, which is how green sea turtles got their name. Their fat turns greenish from their vegetarian diet. Dugongs and manatees, the gentle marine mammals sometimes called sea cows, feed almost exclusively on seagrass, consuming dozens of kilograms each day. But here's what makes seagrass meadows truly remarkable. They capture and store carbon at a rate 35 times faster than tropical rainforests. Though they cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, seagrass meadows store approximately 10% of the carbon buried in ocean sediments each year. They've been quietly combating climate change, molecule by molecule, for thousands of years. Walking through a seagrass meadow at low tide, or swimming through one while snorkeling, you're surrounded by life. Small fish dart between the blades. Shrimp hide in the shadows. The water is calm, filtered by the dense growth. It's a place of peace and abundance, asking nothing from us, giving everything to the ocean ecosystem. In the open ocean, far from land, there lives a fish that never stops swimming. The great white shark, apex predator and ancient mariner, must swim continuously to breathe, passing water over its gills to extract oxygen. These magnificent animals can grow to over 6 meters in length and weigh more than 2,000 kilograms, yet they move through water with remarkable efficiency. Their bodies are perfectly hydrodynamic, every curve and contour shaped by millions of years of evolution to minimize drag. Their skin is covered in tiny, tooth-like structures called dermal denticles that reduce turbulence and make them even more efficient swimmers. Great whites are warm-blooded, or more accurately, regionally endothermic, meaning they can keep certain parts of their body warmer than the surrounding water. This allows them to hunt in cold waters where most large predators cannot efficiently operate, giving them access to prey that other sharks cannot reach. But despite their fearsome reputation, great white sharks are far more complex than popular culture suggests. They are curious, intelligent animals that can learn and remember. They return to the same hunting grounds year after year, suggesting sophisticated navigation abilities. Some individuals have been tracked migrating thousands of kilometers across entire ocean basins, traveling between feeding areas in patterns we're still working to understand. When you imagine a great white shark, try to see beyond the teeth and power. Picture instead an animal that has existed largely unchanged for millions of years because its design needs no improvement. An animal that has found its place in the ocean's web and filled that role perfectly, patrolling the waters with ancient purpose, keeping marine ecosystems in balance through its presence alone. Beneath the waves in tropical oceans, there exists a partnership so ancient and so essential that entire ecosystems depend on it. We touched on coral earlier, but let's dive deeper into the relationship between coral polyps and their algae partners, the zooxanthellae. These microscopic algae live inside the coral polyp's tissues, protected from the open ocean. During the day, they photosynthesize, converting sunlight into sugars. They share up to 90% of these sugars with their coral host, providing most of the energy the coral needs to grow and build its calcium carbonate skeleton. In return, the coral provides the algae with a safe home, nutrients from its waste products, and direct access to sunlight. It's a relationship of perfect reciprocity, with each partner providing exactly what the other needs. This partnership is so effective that coral reefs can thrive in nutrient-poor tropical waters that would otherwise support very little life. However, this partnership is delicate. When water temperatures rise beyond the coral's tolerance, it becomes stressed and expels its algae partners in a process called coral bleaching. The coral turns white, revealing its pale skeleton beneath, and without its algae, it begins to starve. Some corals can recover if conditions improve quickly, but prolonged bleaching events can kill entire reef systems. There's something profoundly moving about this vulnerability. These partnerships, perfected over millions of years, can be disrupted by just a few degrees of warming. The coral and its algae remind us that the most successful relationships require not just partnership, but also the right conditions to thrive. They ask us, quietly, to care for the environment that sustains them. In the ocean's twilight zone, where faint traces of sunlight still penetrate but photosynthesis is no longer possible, there swims a fish with one of nature's most remarkable adaptations. The hatchetfish, named for its distinctive body shape that resembles a hatchet blade, has evolved a form of camouflage so sophisticated it seems like science fiction. The hatchetfish faces a unique challenge. In the twilight zone, if you look up, you see faint light from above. If you look down, you see darkness. This means that to predators looking up from below, the hatchetfish would appear as a dark silhouette against the lighter water above, making it an easy target. The hatchetfish solves this problem through bioluminescence. Along its belly, it has light-producing organs called photophores that emit a glow matching the intensity and color of the faint light filtering down from above. The fish can adjust the brightness of its belly lights in real time, constantly matching the ambient light level. To a predator looking up, the hatchetfish effectively becomes invisible, its lit belly blending perfectly with the background light. This is called counterillumination, and it's one of the most elegant solutions to the problem of camouflage in open water. The hatchetfish carries its own lighting system, its own cloaking device, adjusting it constantly as it rises or descends as day shifts to night, maintaining its invisibility through active, continuous adjustment. Imagine living in a world where your survival depends on constantly producing exactly the right amount of light. No more, no less. Just enough to disappear. The hatchetfish has been doing this for millions of years, glowing gently in the twilight, invisible yet present, a ghost in the ocean's dimly lit midwaters. Let's visit now one of the ocean's most unlikely architects. The male white-spotted pufferfish, a small fish no longer than 12 centimeters, creates one of the most elaborate structures in the animal kingdom, and he does it entirely for love. In the waters off Japan's coast, male pufferfish spend about 10 days creating circular patterns in the sandy seafloor. Working tirelessly, swimming in precise patterns, and using his fins to move sand, he creates a geometric masterpiece, a circle up to 2 meters in diameter, decorated with intricate radial patterns and ridges. These circles are nests designed to attract females. The ridges and valleys aren't just decorative, they serve a purpose. They channel ocean currents in ways that protect the center of the circle, where eggs will be laid, from strong water flow. The geometric precision helps distribute currents evenly, creating a calm zone in the middle. A female, if impressed by the male's work, will lay her eggs in the center of this pattern. The male then guards the nest until the eggs hatch, maintaining and repairing the structure against the constant work of ocean currents trying to erase his careful design. What's remarkable is that these fish have only recently been studied. For years, divers reported finding mysterious circles on the seafloor, but didn't know what created them. It wasn't until 1995 that scientists observed the pufferfish creating these patterns and understood their purpose. This tiny fish, working alone, creates sacred geometry in the sand, driven by instinct and the desire to attract a mate. When his work is done and the eggs have hatched, the ocean gradually smooths away his creation, and he must start again. It's art in its purest form, created with care, serving a purpose, then released back to the elements. Let's complete this section with a phenomenon that connects the ocean with the sky in one of nature's most beautiful displays. Bioluminescent bays, found in only a handful of locations around the world, contain such high concentrations of bioluminescent plankton that the water itself seems to glow. The most famous of these bays contain dinoflagellates, single-celled organisms that emit light when disturbed. During the day, these plankton go about their business invisibly, photosynthesizing and drifting with the currents. But at night, when water moves around them, when a fish swims past or a hand trails through the water or waves break on the shore, they light up in a brilliant blue-green glow. The concentration in these special bays can be so high that every drop of water contains hundreds of these tiny light producers. When you kayak through a bioluminescent bay at night, every paddle stroke creates swirls of light. Fish moving below leave glowing trails. Even rain creates thousands of tiny pinpoints of light as each drop disturbs the surface. This light is produced through a chemical reaction requiring no heat, generating what's called cold light. The dinoflagellates evolved this ability possibly as a defense mechanism. When disturbed by a predator, their flash of light might startle the attacker or attract a larger predator to the scene. But for us, observing this phenomenon is pure magic. To watch the water respond to movement with light, to see the living glow of millions of tiny organisms creating a display that rivals the stars above, is to witness one of Earth's most enchanting spectacles. It reminds us that the ocean is not just water and salt, but a living realm of wonders we're only beginning to appreciate. As we reach the 30-minute mark, 1/4 of the way through our journey, take a deep breath. We've explored so much, yet 70 facts still await. Let the gentle rhythm of these ocean stories carry you deeper into rest. As we continue our journey through the ocean's wonders, let's meet one of the most remarkable survivors in the animal kingdom. The nautilus, with its beautiful spiral shell, is a living fossil that has remained virtually unchanged for nearly 500 million years. While their relatives, the ammonites, went extinct along with the dinosaurs 6 to 5 million years ago, nautiluses persisted. They survived every mass extinction event Earth has experienced, every climate change, every major shift in ocean chemistry. Today, they swim through tropical Pacific waters, using the same basic body plan their ancestors possessed 500 million years ago. A nautilus shell is divided into chambers, each one representing a stage of growth. As the nautilus grows, it adds new, larger chambers to its shell, moving forward and sealing off the chamber behind it. The animal lives in the outermost, newest chamber, while the sealed chambers behind it contain precisely regulated amounts of gas and fluid, allowing the nautilus to control its buoyancy with remarkable precision. They rise from deep water to shallower depths each night to feed, then descend again before dawn, a daily migration they've been performing since before fish evolved jaws. Their movements are slow, deliberate, almost meditative. They navigate by smell, their tentacles extended, searching the water for the scent of prey or the chemical signatures of danger. In a world of constant change, the nautilus represents constancy. They found a design that works, a way of being that has sustained them through unimaginable spans of time, and they've held to it generation after generation, through every challenge Earth could present. Deep in the ocean, where sunlight has never reached, there exists a community built around an unexpected resource. When a whale dies and its massive body sinks to the seafloor, it becomes what scientists call a whale fall, an oasis of nutrition in the deep-sea desert. A single whale carcass can sustain a complex ecosystem for decades. First come the mobile scavengers, hagfish, sleeper sharks, and giant isopods that consume the soft tissues. This stage might last months or even years, depending on the whale's size and the depth at which it comes to rest. Next, smaller organisms move in. Worms burrow into the bones. Crustaceans pick at remaining scraps. This stage can last years, with the whale's skeleton serving as structure and shelter for countless organisms. Finally, bacteria colonize the bones themselves, breaking down the lipids rich in whale oil that permeate the skeleton. These bacteria can sustain themselves for 50 years or more on a single large whale, creating a final stage where the whale full supports chemosynthetic ecosystems similar to those found at hydrothermal vents. Some species of animals are found only at whale falls, having evolved specifically to exploit this unusual habitat. These creatures spend their entire lives waiting for whales to die and sink, then colonizing these temporary islands of abundance in the deep. There's something profound about this. Even in death, even after a lifetime of swimming through blue waters and breathing air at the surface, a whale continues to give life, continues to support communities, continues to matter. Nothing is wasted in the ocean. Everything connects to everything else in cycles we're only beginning to understand. In the cold waters of the Arctic and Antarctic, beneath and within the sea ice itself, there exists a hidden world of remarkable beauty. Sea ice isn't just frozen ocean water. It's a complex matrix of ice crystals, brine channels, and tiny pockets that harbor entire ecosystems. As seawater freezes, it forms ice crystals and concentrates salt in the remaining liquid, creating channels and pockets of very salty, very cold brine within the ice structure. These brine channels, some no wider than a human hair, become home to ice algae, bacteria, and tiny organisms that have adapted to this extreme environment. Ice algae grow on the underside of sea ice, forming golden brown carpets that photosynthesize in the dim light filtering through the ice above. Despite the extreme cold and low light levels, these algae are incredibly productive. They form the base of the Arctic and Antarctic food webs, feeding krill and other small crustaceans, which in turn feed fish, seals, whales, and penguins. In spring, when the ice begins to melt, it releases its harvest of algae and nutrients into the water below, triggering massive blooms of phytoplankton that support the entire seasonal burst of life in polar seas. The ice has been storing and nurturing this productivity all winter, waiting for the right moment to release it. Standing on sea ice, you're standing on the roof of a secret garden, an inverted forest growing downward instead of up, supporting life in one of Earth's most extreme environments. The ice appears barren, but beneath your feet, within the frozen matrix, life persists in the cold and dark, patient and productive, waiting for spring. Let's visit now one of the ocean's most misunderstood creatures. The Murray eel, with its muscular body and powerful jaws, has a reputation for aggression that belies its true nature. These are actually quite shy animals that prefer to remain hidden in their rocky crevices, emerging only to feed. What makes Murray eels particularly fascinating is their second set of jaws. Hidden in their throat, these pharyngeal jaws can extend forward when the eel bites prey, reaching into the mouth to grab the food and pull it back down the throat. It's the same feeding mechanism that appeared in the Alien films, but Murray eels have been using this design for millions of years. Despite their fearsome appearance and unique anatomy, Murrays form some of the ocean's most interesting partnerships. They've been observed hunting cooperatively with groupers, a type of fish. The grouper will find the Murray's den and signal to it by shaking its head. The Murray emerges, and together they hunt, the grouper in open water, the Murray in crevices. Prey fleeing from one often swim directly into the other. This is remarkable because fish and eels don't have the complex social structures that mammals use for cooperative hunting. Yet they've learned to work together, to communicate across species boundaries, to coordinate their efforts for mutual benefit. It suggests a level of cognitive flexibility that surprises many scientists. At night, Murray eels sometimes rest with their mouths open, appearing aggressive. But they are simply breathing, passing water over their gills. Inside those fearsome jaws, cleaner shrimp often take up residence, picking parasites from the eel's teeth and gums. The eel, which could easily eat these tiny shrimp, allows them to crawl into its mouth, recognizing them as helpers rather than food. In the warm, shallow waters of tropical coasts, where freshwater rivers meet the salty sea, there lives a fish that can survive out of water for days at a time. The mud skipper, with its prominent eyes mounted high on its head and strong pectoral fins, is a fish that acts remarkably like a land animal. Mud skippers spend much of their time out of water, using their modified fins to skip and climb across mudflats, mangrove roots, and rocks. They can breathe air through their skin and the lining of their mouth and throat, as long as they keep themselves moist. They are often seen basking on exposed mud during low tide or climbing vertical surfaces in pursuit of insects. These remarkable fish can also survive in water with extremely low oxygen levels, conditions that would kill most other fish. They've adapted to the challenging environment of mudflats and mangrove swamps, where oxygen levels fluctuate wildly, where water chemistry changes between fresh and salt, where the line between land and sea blurs. Male mudskippers are territorial and build mud burrows that fill partially with water during high tide. They court females with displays that include jumping high into the air and performing what looks like push-ups on their fins. It's quite a sight, a fish doing exercise routines on land to impress a mate. Watching mudskippers go about their lives, you witness evolution in action. Fish beginning to explore the possibilities of terrestrial life. Their ancestors made this transition hundreds of millions of years ago, eventually becoming amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. Mudskippers show us what those first tentative steps from sea to land might have looked like, though they themselves are not our ancestors, just fellow travelers exploring the boundary between two worlds. Deep in the ocean, in the darkness where pressure is immense and food is scarce, there lives a fish that has mastered the art of patience. The stoplight loose jaw, a type of dragonfish, possesses what might be the ocean's most sophisticated night vision system. Most bioluminescent deep-sea creatures produce blue or blue-green light, which travels well through water. But the stoplight loose jaw produces red light, and equally important, can see red light, which is extremely rare in the deep ocean. Most deep-sea animals cannot see red wavelengths at all. To them, red light is essentially invisible. This gives the stoplight loose jaw an extraordinary advantage. It can illuminate its prey with red light, effectively using a flashlight that only it can see. To its prey, the loose jaw remains hidden in darkness, while the prey itself is lit up in the loose jaw's private spectrum. It's like having infrared vision while hunting animals that don't know infrared exists. The loose jaw's name comes from its unique jaw structure. The lower jaw has no floor. It's just two thin bones with teeth connected by a stretchy membrane. This allows the jaw to open extraordinarily wide, enabling the loose jaw to swallow prey nearly as large as itself, an important ability when food in the deep ocean is rare and unpredictable. These fish are fragile, their bones thin and delicate, their bodies designed for a life of waiting and minimal movement. They drift in the darkness, conserving energy, their red searchlight occasionally sweeping the water, looking for the silhouette of prey. When they strike, it's with sudden, efficient violence, then back to stillness, back to patient waiting in the eternal dark. Let's rise toward shallower waters now to meet one of the ocean's most playful and intelligent inhabitants. The bottlenose dolphin, found in temperate and tropical waters worldwide, possesses cognitive abilities that continue to surprise researchers. Dolphins have complex social structures, living in groups called pods that can number from a few individuals to several hundred. Within these groups, dolphins form long-lasting bonds, friendships that can span decades. They cooperate to hunt, care for each other's young, and defend against predators. They have signature whistles, unique sounds that function essentially as names, which they use to call to specific individuals. What's particularly remarkable is their capacity for self-awareness and empathy. Dolphins recognize themselves in mirrors, pass the mirror test that's considered a marker of self-consciousness. They've been observed helping injured pod members stay at the surface to breathe, supporting them for hours or even days. They've even helped other species, including humans, though we can only speculate about their motivations. Dolphins sleep in a fascinating way. They rest one half of their brain at a time, keeping the other half awake to control breathing and watch for threats. You can sometimes see this. A dolphin will swim slowly in circles, one eye closed, literally half asleep, half awake. They are also incredibly playful. Dolphins surf in waves, play with objects they find, chase each other in what looks like pure fun. They blow bubble rings underwater and then play with them, spinning them, passing through them, creating variations just for the apparent joy of it. This playfulness into adulthood is rare in the animal kingdom, usually seen only in species with high intelligence and complex social lives. In the darkest depths of the ocean, where the pressure would crush most submarines, there exist fish with bodies so soft and gelatinous that pressure barely affects them. The blobfish, which has become an internet sensation for its unfortunate appearance when brought to the surface, is actually perfectly adapted to its deep-sea home. At depths of 600 to 1,200 meters, where the blobfish lives, the pressure is 60 to 120 times greater than at the surface. The blobfish gelatinous, blob-like body is actually less dense than water, allowing it to float just above the seafloor with minimal effort. It doesn't need to expend energy swimming, it simply drifts, waiting for food to float by. This energy-efficient lifestyle is crucial because food is scarce in the deep ocean. The blobfish eats whatever drifts within reach, small invertebrates, organic particles, the occasional small fish. It doesn't chase prey, it waits for prey to come to it, conserving every calorie. When a blobfish is brought rapidly to the surface, the dramatic pressure change causes its body to expand and deform, creating the sad, droopy appearance that made it famous. But in its natural habitat, in the crushing pressure of the deep ocean, it looks quite normal, a pale, gelatinous fish perfectly suited to its environment. The blobfish reminds us not to judge adaptation by our surface-dwelling standards. What looks bizarre or inefficient to us makes perfect sense in the context of the deep ocean. Every environment selects for different solutions, different body plans, different strategies for survival. The blobfish found its answer in softness, in buoyancy, in patience. And it works, has worked for millions of years, in the cold, dark, high-pressure world where it makes its home. Along rocky coastlines where waves crash and tide pools form, there lives one of the ocean's most resilient creatures. The sea anemone, which looks more like a flower than an animal, can live for decades in the same spot, enduring temperature changes, pounding waves, and periods of exposure to air during low tide. Sea anemones are actually carnivorous animals, related to jellyfish and coral. Their petals are tentacles armed with stinging cells called nematocysts. When a small fish or shrimp brushes against these tentacles, microscopic harpoons fire, injecting venom and sticking to the prey. The tentacles then guide the paralyzed prey to the anemone's mouth, located in the center of its disc. But sea anemones aren't just simple predators. They are surprisingly mobile when needed. If conditions become unfavorable, many species can detach from their rock and slowly glide to a new location, or even swim by flexing their bodies. Some can split themselves in half, creating two identical anemones through asexual reproduction. What's particularly calming to observe is how anemones respond to threat. If something too large bumps into them, or if they sense danger, they retract their tentacles and contract their bodies into tight bundles, transforming from flowing flowers into smooth lumps. When the danger passes, they slowly expand again, tentacles unfurling like time-lapse footage of a flower blooming. In tide pools, anemones create gardens of gentle, swaying motion. They are often the most prominent residents, their colors ranging from vibrant reds and purples to soft greens and browns. They ask nothing from the world except a place to anchor, prey to drift within reach, and water to bathe their tentacles. Simple needs, perfectly met, for decade after decade in their chosen spot. Let's complete this section by visiting one of the ocean's most mysterious phenomena. In certain locations around the world, particularly in the Sea of Japan and the Indian Ocean, fishermen have reported seeing what they call milky seas, vast areas where the entire ocean surface glows with a soft, uniform light for as far as the eye can see. These events can last for days and cover areas larger than small countries, sometimes exceeding 15,000 square kilometers. Satellite imagery has confirmed their existence, showing ghostly white patches on the ocean surface visible from space. Yet despite numerous reports spanning centuries, scientists still don't fully understand what causes them. The prevailing theory involves bioluminescent bacteria, possibly Vibrio harveyi, growing in enormous blooms, perhaps feeding on algae or other nutrients concentrated by ocean currents. Unlike the bioluminescent bays we discussed earlier, where organisms flash in response to disturbance, milky seas produce a constant, steady glow. Imagine being on a ship surrounded by this phenomenon. The ocean around you glows with soft white light, illuminating the waves, making the water look like liquid moonlight. The ship cuts through this glowing sea, leaving a darker wake behind. Looking over the side, you see the light extending down into the depths, the water column itself seeming to emit a gentle radiance. Sailors who've witnessed milky seas describe them as eerie but beautiful, unsettling yet mesmerizing. They speak of feeling disconnected from reality, as if sailing through a dream. The rare few who've experienced this phenomenon describe it as one of the ocean's most haunting displays, proof that even in the modern age, with all our satellites and sensors, the sea can still surprise us with wonders we barely understand. As we reach the 40-minute mark, nearly halfway through the first hour of our journey, let yourself float on that glowing sea, surrounded by gentle light, peaceful and calm. As we drift deeper into our exploration, let's discover one of the ocean's most unexpected gardeners. The damselfish, a small but fiercely territorial reef resident, cultivates and defends underwater farms with the dedication of any terrestrial farmer. These diminutive fish, usually no more than 15 centimeters long, claim patches of coral reef as their own territory. Within these territories, they actively farm specific types of algae, weeding out species they don't want and nurturing those they prefer to eat. They'll aggressively chase away other fish, including those many times their size, to protect their gardens. The damselfish even appear to fertilize their crops, producing waste that nourishes their preferred algae species. They create conditions that favor their chosen algae over competing species, essentially practicing selective cultivation. Some researchers have observed that the algae growing in damselfish territories is more nutritious and grows more densely than algae in areas without these tiny farmers. What's particularly endearing is watching a damselfish defend its territory. Despite being small, they'll rush at divers, pecking at masks and fingers, completely fearless in defense of their gardens. It's hard not to admire such disproportionate courage, such commitment to their patch of reef. These fish have been farming for millions of years, long before humans discovered agriculture. They remind us that cultivation isn't uniquely human, that the instinct to nurture and protect food sources runs deep through the natural world. Each damselfish in its territory, carefully tending its garden, generation after generation, in the warm, sunlit waters of coral reefs worldwide. In the cold waters of the North Atlantic, there exists a fish whose antifreeze proteins allow it to survive in temperatures that would freeze most other fish solid. The Atlantic cod, once so abundant it was said you could walk across the ocean on their backs, possesses remarkable adaptations to polar waters. Cod produce special proteins in their blood that bind to ice crystals and prevent them from growing larger. These antifreeze proteins allow cod to survive in water temperatures below the normal freezing point of their body fluids. Without these proteins, ice crystals would form in their blood and tissues, causing fatal damage. With them, cod can swim comfortably in waters hovering just above -2 degrees Celsius. Historically, cod shaped human history. The Grand Banks off Newfoundland were once the richest fishing grounds on Earth, supporting communities for centuries. Cod was so plentiful and important that it influenced exploration, colonization, trade routes, and even warfare. Entire economies were built on cod fishing. Today, after severe overfishing, many cod populations are recovering, slowly rebuilding their numbers under careful management. Cod can live for over 20 years and grow to nearly 2 meters in length, though such large individuals are now rare. They are an important reminder of both nature's abundance and its fragility, of how quickly we can deplete what seems inexhaustible, and how long recovery can take. Watching cod swim through cold, clear water, their barbel whiskers testing for food on the sea floor, their spotted backs blending with rocky bottoms, you see a fish perfectly adapted to its environment, carrying in its blood the chemical keys to survival in one of Earth's harshest marine realms. Deep beneath the ocean surface, in the complete darkness of the abyssal zone, there lives a fish that has taken minimalism to its extreme. The gulper eel, also called the pelican eel for its enormous mouth, has evolved a body plan so specialized it barely resembles a typical fish at all. The gulper eel's mouth is enormous compared to its body, capable of opening wide enough to swallow prey larger than itself. But its body behind the head tapers to a thin, whip-like tail that can grow up to 1 meter long. The entire fish is mostly mouth and tail, with very little in between. This strange body plan is an adaptation to the scarce food resources of the deep ocean. The gulper eel drifts through the darkness, its huge mouth open, essentially acting as a living net. When prey swims or drifts into that gaping maw, the eel's jaw snaps shut. Its stomach can expand dramatically to accommodate whatever it catches, no matter the size. The gulper eel's tail ends in a bioluminescent organ that glows with a pinkish light. Scientists believe this lure might attract prey, or perhaps serves as a way to attract mates in the vast darkness. The eel can create flashing patterns with this light, a form of communication in the deep. What's calming about the gulper eel is its strategy: no frantic hunting, no high-speed chases. Just patience, drifting through the dark with mouth open, waiting for food to come to it. It's the ultimate in energy conservation, taking passive feeding to its logical conclusion. In an environment where every calorie counts, where food might come once a month or less, the gulper eel has found its answer in simplicity and patience. In tropical waters where rivers carry sediment to the sea, creating murky conditions where visibility is poor, there lives a fish that navigates using electricity. The elephant-nosed fish, named for its elongated snout, produces weak electrical fields around its body and senses distortions in these fields to navigate and find food. This ability, called electroreception, allows the fish to create a three-dimensional electrical map of its surroundings. It can detect prey buried in sand, navigate through murky water in complete darkness, and even communicate with other elephant-nosed fish through electrical signals. The fish's trunk-like snout contains electroreceptors and is used to probe the substrate for insect larvae and small invertebrates. It moves this proboscis constantly, testing, sensing, reading the electrical signatures of the environment like we might read with our eyes. What's particularly remarkable is that each species of elephant-nosed fish produces a slightly different electrical frequency, and individuals can recognize each other based on their electrical signatures. They have electrical identities, unique patterns that serve almost like voices or faces in the electrical realm. These fish have relatively large brains for their body size, necessary to process the complex electrical information they receive. In a way, They perceive a dimension of reality we cannot, navigating by fields and currents invisible to us. They remind us that the world contains layers of information beyond human senses, that reality is richer and more complex than our direct perception suggests. Watching an elephant-nosed fish explore its environment, trunk probing, electrical field pulsing, you witness a completely different way of experiencing the world, elegant and effective. Let's visit now one of the ocean's most important yet overlooked residents. The sea cucumber, lying on the seafloor like a warty pickle, performs a crucial service that keeps ocean sediments healthy and productive. Sea cucumbers are deposit feeders, meaning they consume sediment, extract organic matter and microscopic organisms from it, and excrete clean, processed sand. In essence, they vacuum and filter the seafloor, preventing sediment from becoming oxygen-depleted and toxic. A single sea cucumber can process dozens of kilograms of sediment each year. Some species have developed remarkable defense mechanisms. When threatened, certain sea cucumbers can expel their internal organs through their anus, leaving these organs behind as a distraction while they escape. Even more remarkably, they can regenerate these lost organs over the following weeks, growing entirely new digestive systems. Other species produce toxin-containing threads called Cuvierian tubules when disturbed. These sticky, toxic threads immobilize predators, giving the sea cucumber time to crawl away to safety. The threads can regenerate within a few weeks if used. In some parts of the world, sea cucumbers are harvested extensively for food and traditional medicine, leading to population declines in many areas. This has revealed how important they are to ecosystem health. Areas where sea cucumbers have been removed often show degraded sediment quality and reduced biodiversity. There's something deeply calming about the sea cucumber's way of life. It moves slowly across the seafloor, perhaps a few meters per day, consuming sediment at one end, excreting it clean at the other, performing its essential service without fanfare, without recognition, just steady, productive work that has continued for hundreds of millions of years. In the open ocean, where young fish face countless predators and the nearest shelter might be kilometers away, some species have evolved an unexpected strategy for survival. They seek refuge beneath the stinging tentacles of jellyfish, forming one of the ocean's most delicate partnerships. Young jacks, butterfly fish, and other species swim beneath and among jellyfish tentacles, which would sting and paralyze most other fish. These young fish have developed immunity to the jellyfish venom, or learned to swim carefully enough to avoid triggering the stinging cells. In return for this risk, they gain mobile shelter, a drifting fortress that predators avoid. The jellyfish seems unaffected by these hitchhikers. It continues its pulsing journey through the water, filtering plankton, its small passengers darting in and out of its tentacles. Sometimes the young fish even steal food that the jellyfish has captured, though they are careful not to take too much. As the fish grow, they eventually leave their jellyfish hosts and join schools of their own kind. But during their vulnerable juvenile stage, the jellyfish provides crucial protection. It's a temporary relationship, one-sided perhaps, but it works. The young fish survive to adulthood, and the jellyfish continues its placid drift through the ocean, likely unaware of the lives it's saving. This relationship speaks to the ocean's interconnectedness. Even creatures that seem simple and solitary, like jellyfish, play roles in complex ecological networks. A jellyfish pulsing through blue water is not alone. It's a mobile habitat, a refuge, a tiny ecosystem drifting with the currents, its tentacles providing shelter for the vulnerable, its presence creating opportunity in the vast openness of the sea. Deep in the ocean, in places where tectonic plates pull apart and new seafloor is born, there exist underwater lakes and rivers. These aren't freshwater, but pools of extremely dense, super salty water called brine pools, and they sit on the seafloor like liquid mercury, creating one of Earth's most surreal underwater landscapes. These brine pools form when salt deposits beneath the seafloor dissolve and seep upward, creating water so salty it's denser than the surrounding seawater. This denser water collects in depressions on the seafloor, forming distinct pools with clear surfaces and even waves. You can see the boundary where normal seawater sits atop the hypersaline brine, creating an underwater surface complete with shoreline. For most marine life, these brine pools are deadly. The extreme salinity and chemical composition would pickle any animal that swam into them. Dead fish and crustaceans often litter the shores of these pools, their bodies preserved by the brine. Yet even here, life finds a way. Certain bacteria and archaea thrive in these extreme conditions, forming mats around the pool edges, creating ecosystems based on chemical energy rather than sunlight. Submersibles exploring these pools have captured footage that seems otherworldly, a submarine descending through normal seawater, then crossing the boundary into the brine pool, where the craft becomes surrounded by this strange, viscous fluid. The pool's surface ripples with the submersible's passage, just like breaking the surface of a terrestrial lake, except this is happening thousands of meters beneath the ocean. These brine pools have existed for thousands of years, hidden in the deep, secret lakes beneath the sea, toxic yet fascinating, deadly yet home to specialized life, reminding us that Earth still holds surprises, still harbors wonders in its least explored places. Let's rise towards sunlit waters now to meet one of the ocean's most graceful filter feeders. The basking shark, second largest fish in the world after the whale shark, can grow to over 10 meters in length, yet feeds on some of the ocean's smallest organisms. Basking sharks swim slowly through the water with their enormous mouths wide open, filtering up to 2,000 tons of seawater per hour through specialized gill rakers. These gill rakers act like a fine sieve, capturing tiny plankton and fish eggs while allowing water to pass through and exit via the gills. Despite their massive size, basking sharks are completely harmless to humans. They lack the sharp teeth of predatory sharks, instead having hundreds of tiny hooked teeth that serve no apparent function in feeding. These gentle giants simply cruise through plankton-rich waters, mouths agape, processing incredible volumes of water with minimal effort. Basking sharks are highly migratory, following plankton blooms across entire ocean basins. They appear near coastlines in spring and summer when plankton populations explode, then seem to disappear in winter. For years, scientists wondered where they went. Recent tracking studies have revealed that some sharks descend to depths of nearly 1,000 meters in winter, possibly following deep-dwelling plankton or perhaps entering a period of reduced activity. What's particularly calming about basking sharks is their demeanor. They are patient, unhurried, moving through the water at walking pace, their massive fins barely moving, their enormous mouths yawning open. Sometimes they are seen cruising at the surface, their dorsal fins and tail tips breaking the water, appearing almost to bask in the sun, hence their name. They are embodiments of peaceful efficiency, taking only what drifts to them, harming nothing, moving through their world with ancient grace. In the darkest parts of the ocean, where food is incredibly scarce, some creatures have evolved the ability to survive for years without eating. The deep-sea vampire squid, despite its ominous name, is actually one of the most unusual and gentle inhabitants of the Twilight Zone. The vampire squid isn't actually a squid at all, but a unique animal that falls between squids and octopuses in the evolutionary tree. It gets its name from its dark coloration and the webbing between its arms, which resembles a vampire's cape when spread. When threatened, it pulls this webbing over itself, turning inside out and exposing spiny projections called cirri, transforming from a graceful drifter into a spiky, intimidating ball. But here's what makes the vampire squid truly remarkable. It's the only known cephalopod that doesn't hunt living prey. Instead, it feeds on marine snow, those organic particles we discussed earlier. It uses two specialized filaments to collect this detritus, then packages it into mucus-covered balls and slowly consumes them. This feeding strategy allows the vampire squid to survive in the oxygen minimum zone, where oxygen levels are so low that most predators cannot hunt efficiently. The vampire squid has the lowest metabolic rate of any cephalopod, allowing it to survive on minimal food and oxygen. It lives in a state of perpetual slow motion, conserving every bit of energy, existing in conditions that would be impossible for most other animals. The vampire squid has the largest eyes relative to body size of any animal on Earth, enormous orbs that gather every photon of light in the near darkness of its realm. These eyes can detect the faintest bioluminescence, allowing it to sense predators or potential mates from great distances in the twilight zone's dim glow. Let's complete this section with one of the ocean's most beautiful and mysterious phenomena. In certain tropical and subtropical waters during specific moon phases, coral reefs participate in a synchronized spawning event so spectacular it's been called the ocean's greatest orgy. Once or twice per year, usually on full moon nights when tides are highest, coral colonies release their eggs and sperm into the water simultaneously. Millions of coral polyps across entire reef systems release tiny bundles that float toward the surface like an underwater snowstorm in reverse. The water becomes thick with these gamete bundles, creating pink and white clouds that drift with the currents. The synchronization is crucial. Corals cannot move to find mates, so they must release their reproductive cells at the same time to ensure fertilization. Scientists believe corals respond to multiple cues: day length, water temperature, and moon phase, all combining to trigger this precisely timed event. The spectacle can last several nights, with different coral species spawning on different nights in a predictable sequence. Fish, worms, and other creatures gather to feast on this sudden abundance of coral eggs, but enough survive and fertilize to create the next generation of corals. After fertilization, the coral larvae drift with ocean currents, sometimes traveling hundreds of kilometers before settling on a suitable surface to begin building a new colony. This is how corals colonize new areas, how they recover from disturbances, how they've spread throughout tropical oceans over millions of years. Witnessing a coral spawning is like swimming through a gentle snow globe of new life, each tiny bundle containing the possibility of a coral colony that might grow for centuries, might eventually house thousands of fish, might become part of a reef that protects coastlines and supports entire ecosystems. It's renewal and hope made visible, the ocean's commitment to the future, happening in the warm darkness under a full moon. As we reach the 50-minute mark, nearly completing the first hour of our journey, let the image of that underwater snow carry you deeper into peace, each tiny bundle drifting upward in the moonlit water, each one a promise. As we cross into the second hour of our journey through the ocean's wonders, let's meet one of the most resourceful creatures in tide pool ecosystems. The hermit crab, unlike its relatives, has a soft, vulnerable abdomen that it protects by living inside discarded shells. What makes hermit crabs particularly endearing is their housing problem. As they grow, they must continually find larger shells to move into. When a hermit crab discovers a shell that's too large for its current size but will be perfect soon, it will sometimes wait beside it, guarding it for days or even weeks until it's ready to move in. Even more remarkable, when a new shell appears in an area, hermit crabs will gather around it and organize themselves by size, forming a queue from largest to smallest. When a crab that fits the new shell arrives, it moves in, vacating its old shell. Then, like a choreographed dance, each crab in line moves into the shell vacated by the one before it, creating a cascade of housing upgrades. They've evolved a remarkably efficient system for sharing this limited resource. Some hermit crabs form partnerships with sea anemones, placing them on their shells. The anemone provides protection with its stinging tentacles, while the crab provides the anemone with mobility and access to food scraps. When the hermit crab switches shells, it will carefully remove its anemone partners and transfer them to the new shell, maintaining these beneficial relationships through multiple housing changes. Watching hermit crabs scuttle across tide pools, trying on different shells, negotiating trades with other crabs, carefully tending to their anemone partners, you witness a surprising level of problem-solving and social coordination in these small creatures, their entire lives centered on finding and keeping the perfect home. In the cold, oxygen-rich waters near both poles, there lives a group of fish that have lost something most fish consider essential: their red blood cells. The icefish family, which we touched on earlier, has several species that have evolved to survive without hemoglobin entirely, their blood clear as water. This seems like it should be impossible. Hemoglobin carries oxygen in the blood of nearly all vertebrates, yet icefish thrive without it, their hearts pumping 5 times more blood than related fish species to compensate. Their blood plasma simply dissolves oxygen directly, taking advantage of the fact that extremely cold water can hold much more dissolved gas than warm water. Icefish have evolved other remarkable adaptations. Their hearts are significantly larger than expected, necessary to pump greater volumes of blood. Their blood vessels are wider, reducing resistance to flow. Some species have lost their scales entirely, allowing them to absorb oxygen directly through their skin, supplementing what they take in through their gills. These fish move slowly, conserving energy, their metabolic rate reduced to match their unusual circulatory system. They are ambush predators, sitting motionless on the seafloor or hovering in the water column, waiting for prey to approach. In the still, frigid waters beneath Antarctic ice shelves, this patient hunting strategy works perfectly. The icefish remind us that evolution can find solutions that seem to violate basic biological rules. What appears impossible becomes not just possible but optimal in the right context. In the freezing waters where they live, having clear blood and a giant heart isn't a disadvantage. It's the perfect adaptation, allowing them to thrive where most other fish would perish. Let's visit now one of the ocean's most ancient predators. The chambered nautilus, distant cousin to the nautilus we met earlier, has been hunting in tropical Pacific waters using jet propulsion for over 500 million years, and its shell's perfect spiral has inspired mathematicians and artists for centuries. The nautilus shell grows in a logarithmic spiral, each chamber precisely proportioned according to mathematical ratios found throughout nature. This pattern, known as the golden ratio or Fibonacci spiral, creates a structure that's both beautiful and functionally perfect, distributing stress evenly and maintaining the shell center of buoyancy as it grows. Nautiluses are living submarines. They can adjust their buoyancy by adding or removing gas and fluid from their shell chambers, allowing them to rise and sink with minimal energy expenditure. They spend daylight hours in deep water, around 300 meters down, then rise toward shallower depths at night to hunt. They navigate using their excellent sense of smell, their tentacles extending from the shell opening to test the water for chemical traces of prey. Unlike their squid and octopus relatives, nautiluses have about 90 tentacles, though these lack the suckers found on other cephalopods. They use these tentacles to grab small fish and crustaceans, pulling them toward their sharp beak. What's particularly meditative about nautiluses is their unhurried existence. They grow slowly, reproducing late in life, and can live for 20 years or more. They've survived every mass extinction event since before the dinosaurs by following a simple formula: grow a perfect shell, hunt by night, retreat to depth by day, and never fix what isn't broken. 500 million years of evolution has produced refinements but no fundamental redesign. They found perfection early and maintained it through geological ages. In the vast open ocean, where the nearest solid surface might be thousands of meters below, some fish have evolved to create their own shelter. The sargassum fish lives exclusively in floating mats of sargassum seaweed, its entire life cycle playing out on these drifting islands. Sargassum is a brown algae that grows attached to coastal rocks but can break free and float in vast rafts, sometimes thousands of kilometers from land. The most famous accumulation is the Sargasso Sea in the North Atlantic, a region defined not by land boundaries but by the circular current patterns that concentrate sargassum in one area. The sargassum fish has evolved to blend perfectly with this habitat. Its mottled brown and gold coloring, its frilly appendages, and even its swimming style all help it disappear among the seaweed. It can change its color to match the seaweed's varying shades, becoming essentially invisible to both predators and prey. These fish rarely leave their sargassum homes. They are poor swimmers, adapted for life in the relatively still water within the seaweed mats. Females attach their eggs to the sargassum, and the young grow up within the same floating habitat. Sometimes, an entire lineage of sargassum fish will spend generations on the same mat of seaweed, drifting across ocean basins, a floating dynasty. There's something wonderfully strange about a fish that lives its entire life on floating vegetation in the middle of the ocean, never touching the seafloor, carried by currents wherever they choose to go. The sargassum fish reminds us that home doesn't have to be fixed in place. Sometimes the best strategy is to find a good habitat and drift with it, trusting the journey to bring what you need. Deep in the ocean, where crushing pressure and eternal darkness create conditions that seem incompatible with life, there exists a community of creatures that have never seen the sun, never experienced a day or night cycle, and have no concept of seasons. These are the organisms of the Hadal Zone, living at depths greater than 6,000 meters. The Hadal Zone takes its name from Hades, the Greek underworld, and it exists only in the deepest ocean trenches. Here, pressure exceeds 600 times atmospheric pressure at sea level, enough to crush most submarines. Yet specialized fish, amphipods, and other creatures thrive in these extreme conditions. Snailfish have been discovered at depths exceeding 8,000 meters, making them the deepest living fish ever recorded. They have bodies made largely of water and gel-like tissues, lacking the air-filled swim bladders that would collapse at such pressures. Their bones are thin and flexible, their bodies almost translucent. They are perfectly adapted to high pressure, but would actually have difficulty surviving in shallower water where pressure is lower. Giant amphipods, shrimp-like crustaceans that can grow larger than a human hand, scavenge in the Hadal trenches, feeding on the rare organic matter that sinks from above. They move slowly, conserving energy, their bodies designed to extract every possible calorie from whatever food they encounter. What's remarkable about Hadal Zone creatures is their isolation. Each deep trench is essentially an island, separated from other trenches by thousands of meters of slightly shallower water. Species evolve independently in each trench, creating unique communities found nowhere else on Earth. It's like having separate alien worlds scattered across our ocean floor, each with its own evolutionary experiments playing out in the crushing darkness. Let's rise to warmer waters now to meet one of the ocean's most spectacular hunters. The sailfish, named for its enormous dorsal fin that resembles a sail, is recognized as the fastest fish in the ocean, capable of reaching speeds up to 110 kilometers per hour in short bursts. The sailfish body is a masterpiece of hydrodynamic design. Its long, slender bill reduces drag and can be used to slash at prey. Its high, retractable dorsal fin can be folded into a groove on its back during high-speed pursuits, or raised like a sail when the fish needs to make sharp turns or slow down. Even its scales are designed for speed, creating microscopic grooves that reduce turbulence. But what makes sailfish truly remarkable is their cooperative hunting strategy. Groups of sailfish work together to herd schools of smaller fish into tight balls near the surface. They take turns slashing through the school with their bills, stunning or injuring prey, then circling back to feed while their partners continue herding. During these hunts, sailfish display vivid color changes, their bodies flashing with bright blues and purples. Scientists believe these color changes serve as communication between hunting partners, coordinating their attacks and possibly preventing them from accidentally striking each other with their dangerous bills. Watching sailfish hunt from above the water, you might see their tall dorsal fins cutting the surface as they circle a bait ball, See them launch themselves completely out of the water in pursuit of fleeing prey. They embody explosive power and grace, speed and coordination. Yet after such intense bursts of activity, sailfish must rest, their bodies recovering from efforts that push the absolute limits of what's possible for fish. They remind us that even the fastest, strongest creatures need moments of peace and restoration. In the cracks and crevices of coral reefs and rocky outcrops, there lives a predator so well camouflaged that you might place your hand within centimeters of it without knowing it's there. The stonefish, the world's most venomous fish, has taken the art of ambush hunting to its extreme. Stonefish look exactly like algae-covered rocks or pieces of coral rubble. Their mottled colors, warty skin texture, and complete stillness make them essentially invisible on the reef. They don't chase prey. Instead, they wait, sometimes for days, until a small fish or crustacean comes within striking range. Then, in a movement faster than the human eye can follow, they open their mouth and create a vacuum that sucks in the prey. The entire attack takes about 15 milliseconds. On their back, stonefish have 13 spines connected to venom glands. These aren't actively used for hunting, they are purely defensive. If a predator or unlucky human steps on a stonefish, pressure on the spines causes them to inject venom that's intensely painful and potentially lethal. The fish doesn't choose to use this weapon. It's an automatic response to being stepped on. Despite their deadly reputation, stonefish are actually quite retiring. They have no interest in anything too large to eat and will not attack unless threatened. They spend their lives in patient waiting, embodying stillness so completely they can be mistaken for inanimate objects. Only their eyes occasionally move, tracking potential prey, the sole sign of life in what appears to be a rough stone. The stonefish teaches us that the most effective hunters aren't always the fastest or strongest, but sometimes those who perfect the art of patience, who become so integrated with their environment that they disappear entirely, waiting with infinite patience for opportunity to arrive on its own. In the open ocean, where surface waters warm under tropical sun and deep water remains cold, there exists a boundary layer called the thermocline, and it creates one of the ocean's most important but invisible features. The thermocline is a zone where temperature drops rapidly with depth, sometimes decreasing 10 degrees Celsius or more within just a few meters of descent. This temperature boundary also represents a density boundary. The warmer water above is less dense than the colder water below, creating a barrier that acts almost like an invisible floor. This barrier has profound effects on ocean life. Nutrients tend to accumulate at the thermocline, as dead material sinking from above slows when it reaches the denser water. Plankton blooms often occur at thermocline depths, creating layers of concentrated life. Many fish spend their days in the cold water below the thermocline, where temperatures are comfortable and metabolic demands are lower, then rise above it at night to feed. Divers can actually feel the thermocline as they descend, experiencing a sudden drop in temperature as they pass through it. In some locations, you can see it. The different water densities can create a visible shimmer or blur, similar to heat haze on a road. Light bends differently through water of different densities, creating subtle visual distortions that reveal this invisible boundary. The thermocline is a reminder that the ocean isn't uniform. It's stratified, layered, with different zones having different properties and supporting different communities of life. These boundaries, invisible from the surface, create structure in the seemingly featureless open ocean, providing niches and habitats where none appear to exist. The ocean has hidden architecture, invisible walls, and floors that organize and shape the life within it. Let's meet now one of the ocean's most bizarre and wonderful creatures. The sea pig, a type of sea cucumber that lives on the abyssal seafloor, has evolved inflatable tube feet that make it look like a tiny, pink balloon animal wandering across the deep ocean floor. Sea pigs typically live at depths of 1,000 to 5,000 meters, in perpetual darkness, in near-freezing water. They use their enlarged tube feet as legs, walking slowly across the seafloor while feeding on organic particles that settle there. These tube feet, inflated with water, allow them to lift their bodies above the sediment, perhaps to access water currents or to position their mouths for more efficient feeding. What's remarkable is that sea pigs often gather in large groups, sometimes hundreds together, all grazing in the same area like tiny underwater herds. Scientists aren't entirely sure why they congregate this way. Perhaps they are following chemical signals that indicate rich food deposits, or maybe there's some unknown benefit to feeding in groups. Sea pigs have sensor tubes on their heads that help them detect food and navigate. Despite their soft, delicate appearance, they are well adapted to the harsh conditions of the deep ocean. They process sediment much like their shallow water sea cucumber relatives, cleaning the seafloor one mouthful at a time. Footage of sea pigs from deep-diving submarines shows them slowly walking across the muddy bottom, their pink, tubby bodies glowing softly in the submersible's lights, moving with odd, deliberate steps on their water-filled legs. They look surreal, almost comical, yet they are perfectly suited to their environment, their strange appearance the result of millions of years adapting to life in the deep. They remind us that evolution doesn't optimize for aesthetics by human standards, only for survival in specific conditions. Let's complete this section with one of the ocean's most successful and ancient predators. The horseshoe crab isn't actually a crab at all, but more closely related to spiders and scorpions. They've existed for over 450 million years, predating dinosaurs by over 200 million years, and their basic body plan has remained virtually unchanged throughout this vast stretch of time. Horseshoe crabs have blue blood, colored by copper-based hemocyanin rather than iron-based hemoglobin. This blood has remarkable properties. It contains special cells that detect and respond to bacterial toxins, clotting around any contamination. Scientists have developed tests using horseshoe crab blood to ensure vaccines, medical devices, and injectable drugs are free from bacterial contamination. This has saved countless human lives, making these ancient arthropods critically important to modern medicine. Every spring, horseshoe crabs emerge from the ocean in massive numbers to spawn on beaches during high tides at full and new moons. The females dig nests in the sand and lay thousands of tiny eggs, which the males fertilize. These eggs provide crucial food for migrating shorebirds, particularly red knots, which time their migration to coincide with a horseshoe crab spawn. After spawning, the crabs return to the ocean, where they'll spend another year before the next spawning season. They can live for 20 years or more, slowly walking across sandy and muddy bottoms, using their specialized legs to feed on mollusks and worms. Their hard shells protect them from most predators, allowing them to move with unhurried confidence. As we reach the 1-hour mark in our journey, consider the horseshoe crab's message. What works endures. 450 million years of stability, of slow evolution, of persistence through every challenge Earth's history could present. Let their patient survival inspire your own peaceful rest. As we begin the 2nd hour of our journey, let's explore one of the ocean's most colorful and chaotic events. The Sardine Run, which occurs annually along the coast of South Africa, involves billions of sardines migrating northward in massive shoals, creating a moving feast that attracts predators from across the ocean. These sardine shoals can be several kilometers long and tens of meters deep, darkening the water with their sheer numbers. The sardines swim in remarkably coordinated patterns, the entire school moving as one organism, twisting and turning in response to predator attacks. Dolphins work in teams to herd sardines into tight balls near the surface, taking turns rushing through to feed. Cape gannets dive bomb from heights of 30 meters or more, plunging into the water at speeds that would injure most birds. Sharks circle below, rising to grab mouthfuls of fish. Whales arrive to gulp entire sections of the shoal. It's one of the greatest feeding frenzies on Earth. Yet amid this chaos, there's a strange order. The sardines' coordinated movements create patterns that flow like liquid mercury. Each fish follows simple rules: stay close to your neighbors, match their speed and direction, avoid predators. And from these simple behaviors emerges the complex, beautiful choreography of the shoal. For the sardines, survival depends on being part of the group, on maintaining the collective defense that makes it harder for predators to target individuals. There's safety in numbers, even when those numbers attract attention. The sardine run reminds us that sometimes the path through danger isn't to hide, but to move together, to trust in the strength of community, to flow with countless others toward a shared destination. In the cold, nutrient-rich waters where ocean currents upwell from the depths, bringing minerals and nutrients to the surface, there blooms one of nature's most important yet invisible gardens. Diatoms, single-celled algae encased in intricate glass shells, form the foundation of many ocean food webs. Each diatom creates a shell, called a frustule, made of silica, essentially glass. These shells come in an astonishing variety of patterns. Some look like tiny pillboxes, others like stars, wheels, or elongated rods. Under a microscope, they reveal geometric beauty that rivals any art human hands have created. Each species has its own distinctive pattern, precise and repeating. Diatoms are responsible for approximately 20% of the oxygen produced on Earth through photosynthesis, making them second only to their relatives, the cyanobacteria, in their contribution to our breathable atmosphere. They drift in the sunlit surface waters, billions upon billions of them, each one photosynthesizing, dividing, growing, creating oxygen as a byproduct of their existence. When diatoms die, their glass shells sink, drifting down through the water column to settle on the seafloor. Over millions of years, these shells have accumulated in vast deposits, sometimes kilometers thick. This sediment, called diatomaceous earth, has countless uses: infiltration systems, as a mild abrasive in toothpaste, even as an ingredient in dynamite. There's something deeply calming about contemplating diatoms. Each one is a microscopic work of art, living for just days or weeks, yet collectively they've been producing oxygen and shaping our planet's chemistry for hundreds of millions of years. Beauty at the smallest scale, importance beyond measure, existing mostly unnoticed in the vast blue waters that cover our world. Let's descend now to meet one of the ocean's most patient predators, the peacock mantis shrimp. Despite its small size and colorful appearance, possesses one of the most powerful strikes in the animal kingdom, delivered with appendages that move faster than a bullet. Mantis shrimp aren't actually shrimp, but stomatopods, a separate group of crustaceans that have been evolving independently for over 400 million years. They live in burrows in sandy or rocky bottoms in tropical and subtropical waters, emerging to hunt or defend their territory. The peacock mantis shrimp has club-like appendages that it can accelerate at speeds of over 23 meters per second. The acceleration is so rapid it creates cavitation bubbles in the water, areas of such low pressure that water vaporizes. When these bubbles collapse, they create a secondary shockwave and flash of light, adding to the impact's destructive force. This strike can shatter the shells of crabs, mollusks, and other hard-bodied prey in a single blow. Aquarium keepers have reported mantis shrimp breaking through glass tanks with their powerful punches. The force would be equivalent to being hit by a bullet if scaled up to human size. But what's truly remarkable about mantis shrimp is their vision. They have the most complex eyes in the animal kingdom, with 16 types of color receptors compared to our 3. They can see colors we cannot imagine, including polarized light and ultraviolet wavelengths. Their world is filled with visual information invisible to us, a riot of colors and patterns we cannot perceive. Watching a mantis shrimp in its burrow, its colorful body visible just inside the entrance, its stalked eyes scanning the surrounding water, you observe an animal experiencing reality in dimensions we cannot access, armed with weapons that seem impossible for something so small, living quietly unless provoked or hungry. In the vast expanse of the open ocean, far from any land. There drifts one of the most dangerous creatures in the sea. The Portuguese man-o-war, often mistaken for a jellyfish, is actually a colonial organism. Not one animal, but a colony of specialized individuals called zooids working together. The man-o-war consists of 4 types of zooids, each performing a specific function. One forms the gas-filled float that keeps the colony at the surface, tinted blue and purple and shaped like a sail to catch the wind. Others form the tentacles, which can extend 40 meters below the float, trailing through the water like fishing lines. Still others handle digestion, and the 4th type manages reproduction. These tentacles contain thousands of stinging cells, each loaded with coiled, barbed threads and venom. When prey, usually small fish, touches a tentacle, hundreds of these cells fire simultaneously, injecting venom and entangling the prey. The tentacles then contract, pulling the catch up to the feeding zooids beneath the float. The venom is powerful enough to kill fish and cause extreme pain in humans. Yet some animals have evolved immunity. The blanket octopus collects man-o-war tentacles and wields them as weapons, apparently unaffected by the sting. The blue sea slug eats man-o-war tentacles, stores the stinging cells in its own tissues, and uses them for its own defense. What's meditative about the Portuguese man-o-war is its complete dependence on wind and current. It has no means of propulsion, no way to choose its direction. It simply drifts, its sail catching the wind, its tentacles trailing below, going wherever the ocean decides to take it. For a predator, it's remarkably passive, letting prey come to it rather than hunting actively. It trusts the currents to bring what it needs, surrendering control to forces larger than itself. Deep beneath the waves, in areas where underwater earthquakes, landslides, or volcanic eruptions disturb the seafloor, something remarkable can occur. Cold seeps, places where methane and other hydrocarbon-rich fluids seep from the ocean floor, create ecosystems that rival hydrothermal vents in their strangeness and diversity. Unlike hydrothermal vents, which release superheated water, cold seeps release fluids at the same temperature as the surrounding water, or only slightly warmer. But these fluids are rich in methane and hydrogen sulfide, chemicals that specialized bacteria can metabolize to produce energy. These bacteria form the base of cold seep ecosystems, either living freely or inside the tissues of larger organisms. Tube worms at cold seeps, similar to those at hydrothermal vents, can grow several meters long, their bodies containing billions of symbiotic bacteria that convert seep chemicals into nutrients. Cold seeps also create unique geological features. The methane combines with water under the seafloor to form methane hydrate, a strange substance that looks like ice but burns if ignited. When methane hydrates crystallize and cement sediment together, they create dome-like structures on the seafloor that can house entire communities of specialized organisms. Some cold seeps have been active for thousands of years, providing stable chemical energy in the deep ocean's otherwise energy-poor environment. Scientists studying these seeps have discovered entirely new species, some found nowhere else on Earth. It's a reminder that energy for life doesn't have to come from the sun. It can come from Earth's interior, from chemical reactions, from processes we're only beginning to understand. The existence of cold seeps expands our understanding of where life can exist, suggesting that similar ecosystems might be possible on other worlds with liquid water and geological activity, even without sunlight. Let's rise toward the surface now to meet one of the ocean's most graceful travelers. The albatross, particularly the wandering albatross, has the longest wingspan of any living bird, up to 3.5 meters, and can fly for years without touching land. Albatrosses use a flying technique called dynamic soaring, taking advantage of differences in wind speed at different heights above the ocean. They glide down toward the water where wind is slower, then turn and climb back up into faster winds at higher altitude, gaining energy from the wind gradient. They can travel hundreds of kilometers while barely flapping their wings, making them the most efficient long-distance flyers on Earth. A single albatross might circumnavigate Antarctica multiple times during its life, covering millions of kilometers. They sleep while gliding, resting half their brain at a time like dolphins do while swimming. They drink seawater, using specialized salt glands to excrete the excess salt through their nostrils. Albatrosses mate for life, forming bonds that can last 50 years or more. Each year, they return to the same nesting sites, often the very spot where they were born. The reunion displays between long-paired albatrosses are elaborate and gentle, involving synchronized movements and soft calls, a reaffirmation of partnership after months apart at sea. What's particularly moving about albatrosses is their commitment to a single egg. They lay one egg per breeding season, and both parents invest months in incubating it and feeding the chick. If the egg fails or the chick dies, they must wait another year to try again. It's a strategy that requires patience and persistence, trusting that over a lifetime, their careful investment will produce enough successful offspring. Watching an albatross soar over open ocean, wings spread wide, gliding on invisible currents with barely a wing beat, you witness mastery of wind and wave, a life lived between sky and sea, touching neither yet belonging to both. In shallow tropical waters where light penetrates and conditions are favorable, there grow structures that look like enormous brains made of stone. Brain corals, with their distinctive meandering grooves and ridges, are among the slowest growing but longest lived corals on the reef. A large brain coral might grow only 1 or 2 centimeters per year, meaning some of the largest specimens, several meters in diameter, could be over 1,000 years old. These corals were already growing when medieval cathedrals were being built, and they continue growing today, adding layer upon microscopic layer to their massive structure. The grooves on brain corals aren't just decorative. They are valleys where individual coral polyps extend their tentacles to feed at night. The ridges between valleys are walls that the polyps have built, dividing the colony into distinct feeding zones while keeping everything connected internally. Brain corals are remarkably resilient. Their massive structure can withstand storms that shatter branching corals. They can survive temperature fluctuations that would kill more delicate species. They are the anchors of the reef, the solid foundations that provide structure for entire ecosystems. When you place your hand near a brain coral and feel the gentle water movement created by countless polyps pulsing, when you trace with your eyes the labyrinthine patterns carved into its surface, you're touching history measured in centuries, connecting with an organism that has survived hurricanes, temperature changes, disease outbreaks, and countless other challenges. These corals grow so slowly that human timescales become irrelevant. They teach patience, persistence, and the power of steady accumulation. Day after day, year after year, century after century, they add to their structure, creating something massive and enduring through consistency rather than speed. In the open ocean, where food is scarce and opportunities must be seized when they appear, some fish have evolved the ability to eat prey larger than themselves. The black swallower, a deep-sea fish rarely longer than 25 centimeters, can consume fish more than twice its own length and 10 times its mass. The black swallower has a massively distensible stomach and highly flexible body wall that can stretch to accommodate enormous meals. Its jaw can unhinge, and its stomach can expand to several times the fish's normal body volume. After consuming a large meal, the swallow will become severely distended, its stomach visibly bulging with the outline of its prey. This ability is crucial in the deep ocean, where meals are rare and unpredictable. When a black swallower encounters prey, it cannot afford to be selective based on size. It must take advantage of every opportunity, even if it means swallowing something that seems impossibly large. Sometimes, this strategy backfires. Black swallowers have been found floating dead at the surface, their stomachs so distended with decomposing prey that the gases produced by decay gave them positive buoyancy, pulling them upward from the deep. They become victims of their own success, dying from a meal too large to digest before decomposition begins. There's something almost tragic yet also admirable about the black swallower's approach to life. It doesn't hesitate, doesn't calculate odds or measure portions. When opportunity arrives, it commits fully, swallowing first and dealing with consequences later. In the resource-scarce deep ocean, this aggressive opportunism has allowed the species to survive, even if individual fish sometimes pay the ultimate price for their ambition. Let's visit now one of the ocean's most important but overlooked inhabitants, copepods. Tiny crustaceans, usually less than a millimeter long, are the most abundant multicellular animals on Earth, with population numbers that dwarf all other animal groups combined. These miniature creatures form vast swarms in ocean waters worldwide, from poles to tropics, from surface to great depths. They graze on phytoplankton and bacteria, converting microscopic plant matter into animal protein that can feed larger organisms. Nearly every fish we eat, whether directly or indirectly through the food web, depends on copepods. Copepods perform a daily vertical migration similar to the deep scattering layer we discussed earlier, but their numbers are so astronomical that their movement represents one of the largest biomass transfers on the planet. Each night, trillions upon trillions of copepods rise toward the surface to feed, then descend again before dawn. What's remarkable about copepods is their diversity. There are over 13,000 known species, each adapted to specific conditions, specific depths, specific food sources. They range from the Arctic to hydrothermal vents, from coastal estuaries to the deepest trenches. Wherever there's water and something to eat, copepods have found a way to live there. Despite their tiny size, copepods are complex creatures with sophisticated behaviors. Some species can detect the vibrations created by predator fish and perform evasive jumps at speeds that generate acceleration forces exceeding 200 times gravity. They can sense chemical trails left by predators and avoid those areas. These invisible animals, drifting through the ocean in numbers beyond human comprehension, form the living link between plants and larger animals, converting sunlight captured by phytoplankton into the food that sustains most ocean life. Let's complete this section with one of the most unusual partnerships in the ocean. The boxer crab, a tiny crab no larger than a thumbnail, holds a small sea anemone in each claw, waving them like pom-poms as it walks across the reef. The crab uses these anemones for defense, waving them at potential predators. The anemone's stinging tentacles provide protection that the crab's small claws cannot. In return, the anemones benefit from increased mobility and feeding opportunities, catching bits of food as the crab eats and being waved through plankton-rich water. What's particularly endearing is how the boxer crab treats its anemones. If one anemone is removed, the crab will often split the remaining anemone in half, allowing it to regenerate into 2 complete anemones so the crab can once again have one in each claw. The crab apparently prefers to have matching defensive weapons and will actively ensure this balance is maintained. The boxer crab performs what looks like a defensive dance when threatened, raising both claws and waving its anemones in a pattern that resembles a boxer's fighting stance, hence its name. It's a display meant to intimidate, making the tiny crab appear more formidable than it actually is. Watching a boxer crab scuttle across coral, its anemones waving in rhythm with its movement, you witness one of nature's most charming partnerships. The crab has outsourced its defense to specialists, carrying living weapons that it carefully maintains and even propagates when necessary. It's a relationship of mutual benefit, made visible in the image of a tiny crab waving its anemone pom-poms, a cheerleader of a reef defending its right to exist. As we pass the 70-minute mark, imagine that tiny crab waving its anemones in gentle rhythm, moving with purpose across the reef, protected by its symbiotic partners, thriving through cooperation. As we continue deeper into our oceanic journey, let's meet one of the sea's most remarkable architects. The decorator crab adorns its shell with bits of sponge, algae, coral, and other materials from its environment, creating camouflage so effective it becomes nearly invisible on the reef. These industrious crabs use their specially adapted hooked setae, tiny curved hairs on their carapace, to hold decorations in place. They carefully select materials that match their surroundings and will even transplant living organisms onto their shells, creating miniature gardens that grow and change over time. What's particularly fascinating is that decorator crabs seem to have aesthetic preferences. Given a choice of materials, they'll often select specific colors or textures over others, sometimes choosing decorations that seem to serve no practical camouflage purpose. Scientists have observed crabs decorating themselves with bioluminescent algae, creating a glowing disguise in the darkness. When a decorator crab molts and grows a new, larger shell, it carefully removes decorations from the old shell and transfers them to the new one, like moving into a new house and taking your furniture with you. The crab knows what works, what provides the best camouflage, and maintains its collection through each transformation. There's something wonderfully creative about these crabs, selecting and arranging their costumes, tending their living decorations, maintaining their disguises with care and apparent thoughtfulness. They remind us that even invertebrates without complex brains can exhibit behaviors that suggest choice, preference, and something approaching artistry in their approach to survival. In the depths where light is scarce and food is scarcer, some fish have evolved to become nearly invisible through transparency. Larval fish, particularly those of eels and some other species, develop as completely transparent larvae that can drift in ocean currents for months or even years before transforming into their adult forms. These transparent larvae, called leptocephali in eels, are shaped like willow leaves and so clear you can read text through their bodies. Their transparency serves as camouflage in open water where there's nothing to hide behind. Predators simply cannot see what they cannot detect, and these larvae slip through the ocean's vast spaces nearly invisible to both predators and prey. The transformation from transparent larva to pigmented adult can happen remarkably quickly, sometimes over just a few days. As the larva approaches coastal waters or appropriate habitat, chemical signals trigger metamorphosis. The transparent body shrinks, restructures, and begins producing pigments, transforming from a ghostly leaf shape into a recognizable young eel or other fish. What's meditative about these transparent larvae is their vulnerability combined with their near invisibility. They have no armor, no weapons, no speed to escape predators. They simply drift, transparent and patient, trusting their invisibility to protect them, waiting for currents to carry them to suitable habitat where they can transform and begin their adult lives. Some larvae drift for so long they are carried across entire ocean basins, traveling thousands of kilometers from where they hatched. European eels, for example, spawn in the Sargasso Sea, and their larvae drift with currents for up to 3 years before reaching European rivers, completing a journey that takes them across the Atlantic Ocean as nearly invisible drifters in the great current systems. Let's descend now to visit one of the ocean's strangest hunters. The anglerfish we met earlier has many relatives, and some have evolved even more bizarre hunting strategies. The deep-sea serratia-eyed anglerfish females ambush predators, but the way they attract their mates is one of nature's most extreme examples of sexual dimorphism. Female serratia-eyed anglerfish can grow to over a meter in length, with huge mouths filled with needle-like teeth, bodies built for swallowing prey nearly as large as themselves. But the males are tiny, sometimes less than a few centimeters long, and bear little resemblance to the females. The male's entire life is dedicated to finding a female in the vast darkness of the deep ocean. When he succeeds, he bites into her body and never lets go. His circulatory system fuses with hers, and over time, he degenerates, losing his eyes, internal organs, and fins. Eventually, he becomes little more than a sperm-producing appendage, permanently attached to the female, receiving all his nutrients from her bloodstream. The female can carry multiple males fused to her body, creating what amounts to a self-contained reproduction system. In the deep ocean, where encounters between individuals are rare, this ensures that when she's ready to spawn, fertilization is guaranteed. It's an extreme adaptation to extreme circumstances, one that sacrifices the male's independence entirely. Yet it works, has worked for millions of years, allowing these fish to thrive in the darkest parts of the ocean where finding a mate through more conventional means would be nearly impossible. The deep-sea anglerfish reminds us that survival strategies must match environmental challenges, and in the most extreme environments, nature produces its most extreme solutions. In coastal waters where tides rise and fall, there exists a zone that's neither fully terrestrial nor fully marine. The intertidal zone, exposed to air at low tide and submerged at high tide, supports communities of organisms that must survive in both worlds. Barnacles, those small volcano-shaped creatures cemented to rocks, are among the intertidal zone's most successful residents. They begin life as free-swimming larvae, drifting with plankton, but eventually settle on a rock, cement themselves head down, and build their protective shell. They never move again. When covered by water, barnacles open their shells and extend feathery legs, kicking rhythmically to sweep plankton from the water into their mouths. When the tide recedes, they seal their shells tight, trapping moisture inside, and wait patiently for the water to return. They can survive being exposed to air, sun, rain, and extreme temperature changes, then immediately resume feeding when the tide comes back in. Barnacles are actually crustaceans related to crabs and shrimp, though their sedentary lifestyle makes this relationship hard to see. Charles Darwin was fascinated by barnacles and spent 8 years studying them, producing a massive 4-volume work on barnacle classification that remains scientifically important today. What's soothing about barnacles is their acceptance of life's rhythms. Twice daily, the tide comes and goes. Twice daily, they feed and then wait. They don't fight this rhythm or resist it. They've built their entire existence around it. They remind us that sometimes the best strategy isn't to resist the cycles that affect us, but to adapt our lives to work within them, to find the opportunities in the patterns that govern our world. Deep in the ocean's twilight zone, where sunlight fades to the faintest blue glow, there lives a fish whose eyes have evolved to see what shouldn't be visible. The spookfish has evolved mirror-based eyes, the only vertebrate known to use mirrors rather than lenses to focus light. Most animals, including humans, use lenses to bend light and focus it on light-sensitive cells. But the spookfish has eyes divided into 2 parts. The upper part uses conventional lenses to look upward, detecting the silhouettes of prey against the faint light from above. But the lower part contains tiny curved mirrors made of guanine crystals that reflect and focus light coming from below and to the sides. This gives the spookfish essentially 2 visual systems in each eye, allowing it to scan both upward for prey and downward for predators or bioluminescent flashes. It's an extraordinarily efficient solution to the challenge of hunting in the twilight zone, where every photon of light matters. The mirrors in the spookfish's eyes are composed of microscopic crystals arranged in layers, creating a focusing surface more precisely engineered than mirrors in some human-made optical instruments. Nature discovered and perfected mirror-based vision millions of years before humans invented telescopes or microscopes. Imagine living in perpetual twilight, where the difference between seeing and not seeing might mean the difference between eating and starving, between escaping and being eaten. The spookfish's solution, using both lenses and mirrors, maximizing every possible photon, speaks to the incredible selective pressure of life in the dim zones, where vision at the limits of physics makes survival possible. There's something elegant about the spookfish, floating in the twilight with its compound eyes, seeing in 2 different ways simultaneously, perfectly adapted to a world of fading light. Let's rise toward warmer waters to meet one of the ocean's most playful and intelligent inhabitants. The sea otter, the smallest marine mammal, spends its entire life in the ocean but remains utterly dependent on its fur for warmth, having no blubber layer like whales or seals. Sea otters have the densest fur of any animal on Earth, with up to 1 million hairs per square inch. For comparison, humans have about 100,000 hairs on their entire head. This incredibly dense fur traps air bubbles that provide insulation in cold water, but it only works if kept clean. Sea otters spend hours each day grooming, maintaining the condition of their fur. What makes sea otters remarkable is their use of tools. They are one of the few animals besides primates known to regularly use tools in the wild. Sea otters dive to collect sea urchins, crabs, and mollusks, then float on their backs at the surface and use rocks as hammers to break open their prey's hard shells. They often store a favorite rock in a loose skin pouch under their forearm, carrying their personal tool with them. Sea otters also wrap themselves in kelp while resting at the surface, anchoring themselves to prevent drifting while they sleep. Sometimes they hold hands with nearby otters while sleeping, forming rafts of otters floating together, connected to each other and to the kelp forest below. Their presence dramatically affects kelp forest ecosystems. By eating sea urchins, which would otherwise overgraze kelp, sea otters protect these underwater forests. Where sea otters are absent, urchin populations explode and kelp forests often disappear. Where otters are present, kelp forests thrive, supporting diverse communities of fish and invertebrates. Watching a sea otter float on its back, cracking open shellfish with a rock balanced on its chest, occasionally rolling over to wash itself clean, you witness an animal perfectly adapted to life at the ocean's surface, using intelligence and dexterity to thrive in its marine home. In the darkest parts of the ocean, where no sunlight has ever penetrated, there exist fish that have lost the ability to see, their eyes either vestigial or absent entirely. These blind fish navigate using other senses, proving that vision isn't essential for success in the deep. The cusk eel, found at depths exceeding 8,000 meters in some ocean trenches, has eyes so reduced they are barely functional or completely blind in some species. Instead, these fish rely on their lateral line system, a sensory organ that runs along each side of the body, detecting minute pressure changes in the water. This lateral line system allows fish to sense vibrations, water movements, and even the presence of objects nearby through the way they disrupt water flow. In total darkness, this becomes more useful than vision. A blind fish can sense a swimming prey item, a predator approaching, or a rock wall ahead, all through the subtle pressure changes these create in the water. Some blind cave fish have evolved this sense to extraordinary levels, using their lateral line to create a kind of three-dimensional map of their surroundings, detecting obstacles and prey with precision that seems impossible without eyes. They move through complete darkness with confidence, never colliding with obstacles, finding food efficiently. There's something profound about animals that thrive without one of the senses we consider most essential. They remind us that there are many ways to perceive reality, many methods of understanding the world. What works in one environment may be unnecessary or even disadvantageous in another. The blind fish haven't lost something essential. They've freed themselves from the cost of maintaining useless organs, redirecting that energy to senses that actually serve them in their lightless realm. In the absolute darkness of the deep ocean, blindness isn't a disability. It's freedom from a useless sense, an optimization for a world where eyes have no purpose. Let's visit now one of the ocean's most surprising singers. The male humpback whale produces one of the most complex vocalizations in the animal kingdom, songs that can last up to 20 minutes and be repeated for hours at a time. These songs are composed of organized sequences of sounds, groans, moans, roars, sighs, and high-pitched squeals, arranged into themes that repeat in specific patterns. All male humpbacks in a particular region sing essentially the same song, though the song evolves slowly over time. New phrases appear, old phrases drop out, the order changes, and within a few years, the song may be completely different. Even more remarkably, these song changes spread across ocean basins. A phrase that appears in the songs of humpbacks near Australia might show up in the songs of whales near South America the following year, suggesting cultural transmission of song elements across populations separated by thousands of kilometers. Scientists aren't entirely certain why humpback whales sing. The most common explanation is that it's related to mating, as only males sing and singing occurs primarily during breeding season. But males also sing while migrating and while on feeding grounds, suggesting the songs might serve additional purposes, perhaps maintaining social bonds, establishing territory, or simply because the whales enjoy creating these elaborate compositions. Imagine floating in the ocean and hearing one of these songs. The sounds carry for kilometers through the water, complex patterns of vocalizations that shift and change, repeated with slight variations, a composition being performed in the vast blue cathedral of the sea. The whale might be kilometers away, yet its song surrounds you, fills you, resonates through your body. These are among the most complex non-human vocalizations known to science, suggesting an inner life and capacity for creation that we're only beginning to appreciate in whales. In shallow tropical waters, where coral reefs meet sandy bottoms, there lives a fish that walks rather than swims. The frogfish, with its modified pectoral fins that function like arms and its ability to change color to match its surroundings, is one of the reef's most unusual predators. Frogfish don't swim in the typical fish manner. Instead, they use their leg-like pectoral fins to walk slowly across the reef and seafloor, sometimes gripping coral branches with their fins as they maneuver. They can swim when necessary, using jet propulsion by expelling water rapidly through their gill openings, but they prefer to walk, moving slowly and deliberately through their territory. What makes frogfish truly remarkable is their low. Like their deep-sea anglerfish relatives, frogfish have a modified dorsal spine that acts as a fishing rod, with a lure at the end that they can wiggle to attract prey. But frogfish lures are incredibly diverse and species-specific. Some look like small fish, others like shrimp, some like worms. Each species has evolved a lure that mimics the preferred prey of the fish they are trying to catch. When prey approaches to investigate the lure, the frogfish strikes with incredible speed. Its mouth can open and expand to several times its normal size, creating a vacuum that sucks in prey along with a large volume of water. The entire strike takes about 6 milliseconds, making it one of the fastest feeding strikes in the vertebrate world. Frogfish can change their color over days or weeks to match their background. A yellow frogfish living on a yellow sponge might move to red coral and gradually transform to match its new home. They become living pieces of reef, invisible until they move or reveal themselves by opening their enormous mouths to engulf passing prey. Let's complete this section with one of the ocean's most mysterious and magnificent events. In certain bays and estuaries around the world, there occurs a phenomenon called the silver tide or grunion run, where thousands of small fish called grunion ride waves onto beaches to spawn. California grunion time their spawning runs to coincide with the highest tides of the year, which occur during full and new moons. On these nights, just after high tide begins to recede, female grunion ride waves onto the beach, dig into the wet sand with their tails, and lay their eggs. Males curl around the females and fertilize the eggs as they are deposited. This entire process takes only 30 seconds. Then the fish ride the next wave back into the ocean, leaving their eggs buried in sand above the tide line. The eggs develop for about 2 weeks, until the next series of high tides reaches them. The agitation of waves triggers hatching, and thousands of tiny grunion larvae wash into the ocean with the tide. The timing is critical and remarkably precise. If the fish spawned during lower tides, the eggs would be washed away by subsequent high tides before developing. By spawning during the highest tides, the eggs remain safely above normal tide lines until the next cycle of high tides 2 weeks later. Watching a grunion run is like witnessing a silvery waterfall in reverse, thousands of shimmering fish riding up the beach on waves, depositing the next generation in the sand, then slipping back to sea. its precision choreographed by celestial movements, tides responding to moon phases, fish responding to tides, eggs responding to waves. Everything connected, everything timed perfectly, a dance between ocean, moon, and life that has played out for countless generations. As we reach the 8-minute mark, imagine those fish riding the waves, trusting ancient rhythms, following patterns older than memory, fulfilling their purpose in the space between land and sea. As we enter the final stretch of our journey, let's explore one of the ocean's most delicate and beautiful phenomena. Sea butterflies, also called pteropods, are tiny swimming snails that have evolved wing-like extensions of their foot, allowing them to fly through the water with graceful flapping motions. These remarkable creatures are rarely larger than a centimeter, yet they fill polar and temperate oceans in such numbers that they form a crucial part of the food web. They drift through the water in massive swarms, their wings beating in slow rhythm, creating what looks like an underwater ballet performed by thousands of tiny dancers. Sea butterflies are actually snails. Though most species have reduced or completely lost their shells, streamlining their bodies for swimming. They feed on even smaller organisms, algae and tiny plankton, which they trap in mucus nets. These nets, invisible to the naked eye, drift behind the sea butterfly like gossamer parachutes, capturing food particles from the water. What makes sea butterflies particularly important is their role as food for larger animals. Many whales, including some of the largest species, feed partially or primarily on these tiny creatures. A single whale might consume millions of sea butterflies in a day, and the butterflies in turn consume billions of microscopic algae. But sea butterflies face a growing challenge. They build their shells from calcium carbonate, and as ocean acidity increases, creating and maintaining these shells becomes more difficult. They are early indicators of ocean health, sensitive to changes that other species might not yet notice. Watching sea butterflies flutter through blue water, their tiny wings beating, their translucent bodies catching the light, you witness fragility and abundance combined, beauty at the smallest scale, creatures whose fate is intimately tied to the health of the ocean itself. In the deep trenches where pressure crushes and cold numbs, there lives a fish that has evolved beyond the need for a stomach. The cusk eel, which we met briefly before, has lost its stomach entirely in some species, digesting food directly in its intestine. This seems counterintuitive. Why would evolution remove an organ that seems so essential? The answer lies in the extreme scarcity of food in the deep ocean. These fish feed so infrequently that maintaining a complex stomach with its energy-intensive acid production and muscular walls became more costly than beneficial. Instead, these fish have elongated intestines where all digestion occurs. When they do manage to catch prey, the food moves directly from esophagus to intestine, where specialized cells extract every possible nutrient. It's a simplified system, but one that works efficiently in an environment where energy conservation is paramount. These stomachless fish can survive for months without eating, their metabolism slowed to a crawl, their bodies designed for maximum efficiency. They move slowly through the darkness, conserving energy, waiting with patient hunger for the rare opportunity to feed. There's something almost zen about these fish. They've simplified themselves, removed what wasn't essential, reduced their needs to the minimum. They don't fight against the scarcity of their environment. They've adapted to become creatures that need very little, that can wait indefinitely, that have found peace in doing less, needing less, being less metabolically demanding. In the crushing depths, surrounded by cold and darkness and emptiness, these fish persist not through strength or speed, but through profound efficiency and the ability to simply endure, day after day, in patient waiting. Let's rise toward the surface now to meet one of the ocean's most social creatures. Spinner dolphins, named for their spectacular aerial spins, live in large groups called pods that can number in the hundreds, creating complex social networks that rival those of primates. Spinner dolphins are famous for their acrobatic displays. They leap from the water and spin rapidly around their longitudinal axis, sometimes completing 7 rotations before splashing back down. Scientists aren't entirely certain why they spin. Theories range from communication and play to removing parasites or simply expressing joy. What's particularly fascinating about spinner dolphins is their social structure. Within large pods, individuals form smaller groups based on age, sex, and relationships. They have preferred companions, dolphins they regularly swim beside, hunt with, and rest near. These relationships can last for years or even decades. Spinner dolphins cooperate to hunt, using echolocation to find schools of small fish and squid that rise toward the surface at night. They work together to corral prey, taking turns feeding while others maintain the formation. This requires coordination and communication far more sophisticated than most people realize. They also synchronize their breathing and movements. When resting, groups of spinners swim slowly in tight formation, their movements perfectly matched, rising to breathe in unison. This synchronization appears to strengthen social bonds, creating a physical manifestation of their connection to one another. At night, when spinner dolphins hunt, they are all business, focused, coordinated, efficient. But during the day, they rest in shallow bays, and it's then that you might see the spins, the leaps, the playful interactions that suggest these animals don't just survive together, but enjoy each other's company, finding joy in community and movement. In the cold waters, where sea ice forms and breaks, there lives a creature that has mastered the art of living in 2 worlds. The leopard seal, Antarctica's apex predator, is equally at home swimming through icy waters or resting on ice floes, hunting everything from krill to penguins. Leopard seals are solitary hunters. Unlike many seal species that gather in large colonies, they patrol the waters around ice edges, waiting for penguins to enter the water. Their hunting technique is both patient and explosive. They wait, sometimes for hours, then strike with surprising speed when prey appears. What makes leopard seals particularly remarkable is their versatility. While they are famous for hunting penguins and other seals, they also feed on krill, using their specially adapted teeth as a sieve to filter these tiny crustaceans from the water. The same predator that can catch and kill a seal can also delicately strain krill from seawater, switching between hunting strategies as food availability changes. Leopard seals have a distinctive appearance, a long, reptilian head with a wide gape and a spotted coat that gives them their name. They are muscular and powerful, capable of bursts of speed that allow them to catch penguins in the water, yet also capable of the patience required to wait at breathing holes in the ice. Despite their fearsome reputation, leopard seals are curious about humans. Divers have reported leopard seals approaching them, apparently trying to feed them penguins, as if teaching them to hunt. Whether this represents genuine teaching behavior or simply confusion about what these strange bubble-blowing creatures might be, it suggests a level of cognitive flexibility and curiosity that surprises many people. In the harsh Antarctic environment, leopard seals represent adaptation to extremes, comfortable in freezing water, at home on ice, capable of catching fast-moving prey or filtering microscopic organisms, equally successful as apex predator or filter feeder. Deep beneath the waves, where continental shelves drop away into the abyss, there tumbles one of the ocean's strangest plants. Tumbleweed seaweed, properly called Sargassum horneri, can break free from its rocky attachment and roll along the seafloor, spreading and growing as it travels. Unlike terrestrial tumbleweeds that dry out and blow away, these seaweeds remain alive, their tissues still photosynthesizing as they tumble through sunlit shallow waters. They can fragment as they roll, each piece potentially starting a new plant, creating a rolling, reproducing mass that colonizes new areas. When these tumbleweeds accumulate on beaches, they create temporary ecosystems. Small crustaceans, worms, and insects colonize the seaweed masses. Birds feed on these invertebrates, The decomposing seaweed returns nutrients to the beach ecosystem. It's a mobile habitat, bringing ocean productivity to terrestrial environments. But tumbleweed seaweed can also cause problems. In some areas, massive accumulations smother other seaweeds and seagrasses, blocking light and consuming oxygen as they decay. Like many successful species, Sargassum horneri has become invasive in some regions, its adaptability and mobility allowing it to spread beyond its native range. There's something almost whimsical about the image of seaweed tumbling along the ocean floor, rolling with currents and waves, breaking apart and spreading, each fragment a potential new colony. It's a plant that has found success through motion rather than staying rooted, through dispersal rather than permanence. The tumbleweed seaweed reminds us that even plants can be travelers, that rootedness isn't essential for growth, and that sometimes the best strategy for success is to let go and roll with the currents, trusting that wherever you land might offer new opportunities. In the warm, shallow waters of tropical lagoons, there exists a creature that looks more like a plant than an animal. The sea pen, a colonial organism related to corals and anemones, anchors itself in soft sediment and extends a feather-like structure into the water to feed. Sea pens can grow up to 2 meters tall in some species, their feathery branches covered with hundreds or thousands of individual polyps. During the day, they often retract, lying flat against the seafloor. At night, they expand, the main stalk inflating with water, the branches unfurling, transforming from a deflated mass into an elegant underwater feather. Each polyp on a sea pen has a specific role. Some polyps capture food, extending their tentacles to catch passing plankton. Others move water through the colony, creating currents that bring food and oxygen. Still others are responsible for reproduction. The entire structure functions as a single organism, though it's actually a carefully organized community. What's particularly beautiful about sea pens is their bioluminescence. When disturbed, many species emit waves of light that travel along their branches, creating patterns of blue-green illumination. This light might startle predators or attract larger animals that might disturb whatever is bothering the sea pen. Either way, the display is mesmerizing, a feather of light glowing in the darkness. Sea pens can relocate if conditions become unfavorable. They deflate, pull their anchor from the sediment, and use coordinated contractions to move slowly across the seafloor to a better location where they anchor themselves again and reinflate. It's a plant-like animal that can walk, a creature that's actually a colony, a feather that glows with living light. Watching a field of sea pens at night, their bioluminescent signals pulsing through the water in response to passing fish, you witness one of the ocean's more subtle light shows, elegant and purposeful in the quiet darkness. Let's meet now one of the ocean's most industrious engineers. The sand dollar, despite its plant-like appearance when alive with its fuzzy covering of tiny spines, is actually a type of sea urchin that has flattened itself to live on sandy bottoms. Sand dollars burrow partially into sand, angling themselves into currents to maximize food capture. The tiny spines that cover their bodies work together to move food particles along specialized paths on their surface toward their mouth, located on their bottom side. It's like having thousands of tiny conveyor belts all working in coordination. What's remarkable is how sand dollars move through sand. They use their spines like tiny legs, each spine moving in coordinated waves that push the animal through the substrate. They can burrow completely under the sand within minutes when threatened, disappearing from view by essentially swimming through solid sand. Sand dollars reproduce by releasing eggs and sperm into the water, where fertilization occurs. The larvae that develop are completely different from adults. They are bilaterally symmetrical and free-swimming, drifting with plankton for weeks or months before settling and transforming into the familiar disc shape. The white shells that people find on beaches are actually the skeleton of dead sand dollars. When alive, sand dollars are typically purple, brown, or reddish, covered in soft tissue and those thousands of tiny moving spines. Only death and decomposition reveal the bleached skeleton with its distinctive flower pattern, a pattern that has made them popular collectibles and inspired countless stories and legends about their meaning. There's something soothing about imagining fields of sand dollars just beneath the sandy surface, each one perfectly positioned in the current, their microscopic spines moving in constant coordination, feeding quietly while partially buried, living their lives in the shifting boundary between sand and water. In the open ocean, where the nearest solid surface might be thousands of meters away in any direction, there floats one of nature's most elegant predators, the by-the-wind sailor, whose scientific name is Velella velella, is not a single organism but a colony of specialized polyps that live together on a float no larger than a human hand. What makes Velella remarkable is its sail. Mounted diagonally across its oval float is a stiff, triangular sail that catches the wind, propelling the colony across the ocean surface. The angle of the sail determines which direction the animal will travel. Some populations have left-angled sails and are blown one direction, while others have right-angled sails and travel the opposite way. Below the float hang numerous feeding polyps and reproductive polyps, trailing through the water to catch zooplankton. The colony is bright blue, possibly providing some protection from ultraviolet light or perhaps making it less visible to predators below looking up at the bright surface. By-the-wind sailors often gather in large flotillas, thousands of individuals sailing together, concentrated by winds and currents. Eventually, many are blown ashore, where they strand on beaches in windrows of brilliant blue, sometimes stretching for kilometers along the coast. These strandings might seem like tragedies, but they are part of Velella's life cycle. Before dying, stranded individuals release reproductive polyps that can survive in the surf zone and eventually produce the next generation. The sacrifice of the adults on the beach ensures that juveniles are born in productive coastal waters. Watching Velella sail across blue water, their tiny sails catching sunlight, thousands moving together yet each on its own trajectory, you witness one of the ocean's more whimsical strategies for dispersal, organisms that have given themselves over entirely to wind and current, going wherever they are blown, trusting the journey more than the destination. Let's descend one more time to the twilight zone, where a fish has evolved one of the most unusual faces in the ocean. The barrel-eye fish, which we met earlier, has relatives with equally strange adaptations. The Dolichopteryx longips has tubular eyes that look upward like most barrel eyes, but with an additional mirror system that also gives it downward vision. This fish has essentially evolved periscope eyes, able to look in multiple directions using mirrors and lenses in combination. The mirrors are made of crystalline plates of guanine, the same reflective material that makes fish scales shiny, but arranged in precise multilayer stacks that create highly efficient reflectors. The fish uses these complex eyes to hunt in the faint light of the twilight zone, looking upward for silhouettes of prey against the distant surface, and simultaneously looking downward for the faint bioluminescent flashes of organisms in the darker waters below. It's maximizing its visual coverage in an environment where missing a meal might mean not eating for weeks. What's meditative about the barrel eye is its patience. It hangs motionless in the water, its transparent head revealing those strange tubular eyes, its body perfectly still, watching and waiting. It's not actively hunting in the sense of searching. It's allowing the ocean to bring prey into its field of view, trusting that if it watches long enough, food will appear. This strategy, to wait, to watch, to conserve energy until the perfect moment, defines life in the twilight zone. The barrel eye has perfected it, becoming a floating observation platform with the ocean's most sophisticated optical system, seeing what others cannot see, waiting with infinite patience in the fading light. Let's complete this section with one of the ocean's most resilient survivors. The tardigrade, though more famous for surviving in extreme terrestrial environments, also lives in marine habitats, particularly in the spaces between sand grains and on algae and seaweed. These microscopic animals, rarely larger than a millimeter, are also known as water bears for their plump bodies and slow, bear-like walking style. They have 8 legs, each ending in claws, and a mouth adapted for piercing cells and sucking out their contents. What makes tardigrades legendary is their ability to survive extreme conditions. When their environment becomes unfavorable, too dry, too cold, too hot, they enter a state called cryptobiosis, essentially suspending all metabolic activity. In this state, they can survive temperatures near absolute zero and above boiling, intense radiation, the vacuum of space, and pressures 6 times greater than the deepest ocean trenches. Marine tardigrades, living in the relatively stable ocean environment, rarely need these extreme survival abilities. They live quiet lives, crawling slowly through the spaces between sand grains, feeding on bacteria and algae, reproducing in the protective spaces of their microscopic world. But knowing they possess these abilities, knowing that in each handful of beach sand might live thousands of microscopic creatures capable of surviving almost anything the universe could throw at them, adds a layer of wonder to the ocean. These tiny beings remind us that life is more resilient than we imagine, that survival can take forms we barely understand, and that the ocean hosts not just large charismatic animals, but countless microscopic marvels invisible to our eyes. As we approach the 90-minute mark, think of the tardigrades in the sand, the invisible multitudes, the microscopic survivors, quietly persistent in their tiny world between the grains. As we enter the final section of our deep ocean journey, let's meet one of the sea's most ancient and mysterious inhabitants, the six-gill shark. One of the oldest shark lineages still swimming in our oceans, has remained virtually unchanged for over 200 million years. These large sharks, which can grow to over 5 meters in length, typically live at depths of 200 to 1,000 meters, though they occasionally rise to shallow waters at night. They have 6 gill slits instead of the 5 found in most modern sharks, a feature they share with their ancient ancestors. 6-gill sharks move slowly and deliberately through the dark waters, conserving energy as they patrol for food. They are opportunistic feeders, eating fish, squid, seals, and even scavenging on whale carcasses when available. Their teeth are different in upper and lower jaws. The upper teeth are pointed for grasping, while the lower teeth are saw-like for cutting. What's particularly calming about 6-gill sharks is their temperament. Despite their size and predatory nature, they are generally docile and rarely encountered by humans due to their deep-water habitat. When divers do meet them, the sharks often appear curious but non-threatening, circling slowly before disappearing back into the darkness. These sharks are living connections to the age of dinosaurs, swimming through our modern oceans with bodies and behaviors shaped by hundreds of millions of years of evolution. They've survived every mass extinction event, every climate change, every challenge Earth could present. They persist in the deep, patient, and ancient, witnesses to epochs we can barely imagine. In the sunlit shallows where light dances across the sandy bottom, there lives a fish that can see through its own forehead. The four-eyed fish, despite its name, actually has only 2 eyes, but each eye is divided horizontally into 2 sections, allowing it to see simultaneously above and below the water surface. Four-eyed fish swim at the surface with a water line bisecting their eyes. The upper half of each eye scans the air for predatory birds or insects that might serve as food, while the lower half watches the water below for underwater threats and prey. Each half of the eye has different optical properties adapted to its viewing medium. The upper half has a flatter cornea suited for seeing in air, while the lower half has a more curved cornea for underwater vision. The lens is egg-shaped, thicker on the bottom than the top, providing correct focus for both halves simultaneously. These fish live in mangrove channels and coastal waters, where seeing both above and below the surface provides significant advantages. They can spot birds diving from above while simultaneously watching for fish approaching from below. They can jump to catch insects in the air while remaining aware of what's happening underwater. What's remarkable is how evolution solved the challenge of seeing in 2 different mediums simultaneously. Rather than developing separate eyes for each task, the four-eyed fish modified existing eyes, creating a perfect solution to a unique challenge. They live literally between two worlds, seeing both with equal clarity, masters of the boundary between water and air. Watching these fish cruise at the surface, their bulging eyes half in and half out of the water, you witness an elegant adaptation to life in the thin layer where ocean meets atmosphere. Let's explore now one of the ocean's most successful predatory strategies, the cuttlefish. Despite its name, actually a cephalopod related to squid and octopuses, possesses camouflage abilities that surpass almost every other animal on Earth. Cuttlefish can change their color, pattern, and even skin texture in less than a second. They have millions of specialized pigment cells called chromatophores in their skin, each controlled by muscles and nerves. By expanding and contracting these cells, cuttlefish create waves of color and pattern across their bodies. But they don't stop at color. Beneath the chromatophores lie reflective cells called iridophores and leucophores that can create metallic sheens and subtle highlights. And beneath even these, they have papillae, small bumps of skin they can raise or lower to change their texture from smooth to rough, mimicking coral, rocks, or seaweed. What makes this even more remarkable is that cuttlefish are colorblind. They see the world in shades of gray, yet they can perfectly match colors they cannot see by analyzing the brightness and pattern of their surroundings. Scientists are still working to understand exactly how they accomplish this. Cuttlefish also use their color-changing abilities for communication. Males can display complex patterns to attract females or warn off rivals. In some species, a male will display courtship colors to a female on one side of his body while simultaneously displaying camouflage or female patterns on the other side to deceive rival males. Their intelligence matches their camouflage abilities. Cuttlefish can count, solve puzzles, learn from watching other cuttlefish, and even pass the marshmallow test, delaying gratification for better rewards later, a measure of self-control that many animals fail. Watching a cuttlefish ripple with colors and patterns, adapting in real time to its surroundings, you witness one of evolution's most impressive achievements in camouflage and communication combined. In the cold, deep waters where few predators venture, there lives a fish that has evolved to be nearly weightless. The bigfin pearlie uses specialized oils and reduced mineralization in its bones to achieve near-neutral buoyancy, allowing it to hover motionless in mid-water with minimal effort. This fish's body is designed for efficiency in the deep ocean. Its bones are thin and somewhat flexible, reducing their weight. Its tissues contain special lipids that are less dense than water, providing lift. Its muscles are reduced to just enough for occasional bursts of swimming, as staying still requires so little energy. The bigfin pearlie gets its name from its large, pearl-like eyes, which gather every available photon in the dim waters of the twilight zone. These enormous eyes are tubular, like those of the barrel eye, pointing upward to watch for silhouettes of prey against the faint light from above. What's meditative about the bigfin pearlie is its existence at the edge of nothingness. It hovers in the twilight, nearly weightless, barely moving, its metabolism slowed to a crawl. It watches and waits, requiring so little energy that it can survive for weeks without feeding, simply being present in the water column, patient and still. This fish has achieved something close to equilibrium with its environment. It doesn't fight against the ocean. It has become nearly identical in density to the water around it, requiring almost no effort to maintain its position. It's a lesson in efficiency, in reducing needs to the minimum, in finding peace through perfect balance with surroundings. In the deep twilight, the bigfin pearlie drifts, watches, waits, and requires almost nothing. A creature of profound simplicity achieving survival through near-perfect harmony with the physics of its world. Let's visit the seafloor one final time to meet one of the ocean's most patient predators. The coffin fish, a type of anglerfish that lives on the bottom, has reduced its swimming ability almost completely, instead walking slowly across the seafloor on modified fins. These unusual fish have inflatable bodies. When threatened, they can swallow large amounts of water, expanding to nearly twice their normal size, making themselves harder for predators to swallow. Once the threat passes, they deflate slowly, returning to their normal shape. Coffinfish have fishing lures like their anglerfish relatives, but rather than glowing lures, they use lures that mimic small worms or crustaceans. They position themselves on the seafloor and wait, sometimes for days, wiggling their lure occasionally to attract curious prey. When something investigates, their large mouth opens in a vacuum strike, sucking in prey too quickly for the eye to follow. What makes coffinfish particularly interesting is their parenting strategy. Females produce egg masses that they attach to the seafloor or to rocks. These egg masses contain thousands of developing embryos, all protected together. The female guards these eggs, fanning them with her fins to keep them oxygenated, protecting them from predators until they hatch. This level of parental care is rare in fish. Most simply release eggs and sperm into the water and provide no further care. But the coffinfish invests time and energy in protecting the next generation, staying with the eggs for weeks, barely eating, focused entirely on ensuring their survival. There's something touching about imagining this strange, inflatable fish sitting on the seafloor beside her egg mass, occasionally fanning them with her fins, waiting patiently for them to develop, sacrificing her own feeding to give her offspring the best chance of survival. In the vast blue expanse far from land, there exists a phenomenon that connects the smallest organisms with some of the largest. The deep chlorophyll maximum is a layer, usually between 50 and 200 meters deep, where phytoplankton concentrations reach their peak. This layer forms at the depth where there's still enough light for photosynthesis, but where nutrients that have sunk from above begin to accumulate. It's a sweet spot where light from above meets nutrients from below, creating a thin, highly productive layer suspended in the water column. Many marine animals have learned the location of this layer. At night, fish, squid, and crustaceans migrate upward from the depths, many of them stopping at the deep chlorophyll maximum to feed on the abundant plankton there before continuing to the surface or returning to deeper waters. This layer can be so dense with phytoplankton that it shows up clearly on scientific instruments, appearing as a distinct band of green in otherwise blue water. It's an invisible garden suspended in mid-water, a floating meadow that supports food webs throughout the ocean. What's calming about the deep chlorophyll maximum is its quiet productivity. It asks nothing, demands nothing, simply exists at the perfect depth where conditions align for life to flourish. It's a reminder that the most productive places often aren't the most obvious ones, that sometimes the richest opportunities exist not at the extremes but in the balanced middle ground. In the blue water of the open ocean, this invisible layer produces oxygen, feeds countless organisms, and sustains life chains that reach from microscopic plankton to great whales, all happening in a thin band of enhanced productivity suspended between surface and depth, between light and darkness. Let's meet now one of the ocean's most remarkable survivors of deep time, the coelacanth, a large fish that was thought to have gone extinct with the dinosaurs 6 to 6 million years ago, was rediscovered alive in 1938 off the coast of South Africa. Coelacanths are large, heavy-bodied fish that can grow to 2 meters in length and weigh 90 kilograms. They live at depths of 100 to 700 meters, in caves and steep underwater slopes. They are nocturnal, spending daylight hours resting in caves and emerging at night to hunt slowly for fish and squid. What makes coelacanths scientifically important is their anatomy. They have lobed fins with bones and muscles that resemble limbs more than typical fish fins. These fins move in an alternating pattern similar to how four-legged animals walk. Some scientists believe coelacanths represent a link in understanding how fish evolved to eventually give rise to terrestrial vertebrates. Coelacanths grow slowly, mature late, and live for very long periods. possibly up to 100 years. Females give birth to live young after a gestation period of about 5 years. 1. Of the longest known for any fish, they produce only a few offspring at a time, investing heavily in each one. Their rediscovery is a reminder that the ocean still holds surprises, that species we think are extinct might persist in unexplored depths, that our knowledge of ocean life remains incomplete. Every new survey of deep waters discovers species unknown to science, suggesting that many more coelacanth-like surprises might await discovery. Watching footage of coelacanths drifting near underwater caves, their lobed fins moving in a distinctive walking pattern, you witness a living fossil, an animal that survived unchanged through the rise and fall of dinosaurs, through ice ages and warming periods, through every challenge Earth's changing climate could present over 60 million years. In the crushing depths of the deepest ocean trenches, where pressure exceeds 1,000 atmospheres and no light has ever penetrated, there exists life in the form of the deepest dwelling fish ever discovered. The Mariana snailfish, filmed at depths exceeding 8,000 meters, survives in conditions that would destroy most complex life. These fish are small, translucent, and almost delicate in appearance, yet they possess remarkable adaptations. Their bones are thin and flexible, their bodies composed largely of water and gel-like tissues that are unaffected by pressure. They lack swim bladders, which would collapse at such depths, and their cell membranes contain special molecules that remain flexible despite the crushing pressure. Mariana snailfish feed on tiny crustaceans that live in the trenches, themselves eating even smaller organisms and detritus. It's a simple food web in the Hadal zone, but it's functional, supporting life at depths once thought impossible for fish. What's remarkable is that these fish appear to be thriving, not just surviving. They are active, apparently healthy, successfully reproducing in the deepest trenches. They've found not just a way to tolerate extreme conditions, but a niche where they face little competition, where few predators can follow. The discovery of these fish keeps pushing the boundaries of where we think life can exist. Each time scientists think they've found the depth limit for fish, new species are discovered deeper still. It suggests that life, given time and evolutionary pressure, can adapt to almost any condition Earth provides. These small, ghostly fish in the trenches remind us that life is more persistent, more adaptable, more resilient than we imagine. They live in what seems like the most hostile environment on Earth, yet they thrive, proof that life finds a way even in the crushing darkness of the deepest ocean. As we near the end of our journey, let's consider one of the ocean's most important yet invisible processes: the biological pump, a mechanism by which carbon is transported from the surface ocean to the deep sea, has been regulating Earth's climate for millions of years. Here's how it works. Phytoplankton at the surface absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere as they photosynthesize. When these organisms die, or when they're eaten and excreted as waste, they sink, carrying their carbon with them. This organic material, along with the marine snow we discussed earlier, slowly descends through the water column. Much of this carbon is recycled in the upper ocean, consumed by bacteria and other organisms. But a portion makes it to the deep ocean, where it can remain sequestered for hundreds or thousands of years before eventually returning to the surface through upwelling currents. This biological pump has removed enormous amounts of carbon from the atmosphere over geological time, helping regulate Earth's temperature and maintain conditions suitable for life. Without it, Earth would be significantly warmer, with higher concentrations of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The pump continues operating today, silently and invisibly, pulling carbon from the air into the ocean, transporting it to depth, locking it away in sediments and deep water. It's a planetary life support system, operating at scales both microscopic and oceanic, involving countless organisms from surface to abyss, each playing its small role in a process that helps maintain the habitability of our world. Understanding the biological pump helps us appreciate how interconnected everything is, how microscopic phytoplankton affect global climate, how deep ocean circulation influences surface conditions, how life and chemistry and physics work together to regulate our planet. The ocean isn't just where things live, it's an active participant in maintaining conditions that make life possible. Let's complete our journey with one final wonder: the eternal connection between ocean and sky, water and atmosphere, that creates the very clouds above us. The ocean is Earth's largest reservoir of water, and through evaporation, it provides most of the moisture that becomes precipitation on land. Each day, approximately 1 trillion tons of water evaporates from the ocean surface, rising invisibly into the atmosphere. This water vapor is carried by winds, sometimes across entire continents, before falling as rain or snow, filling rivers that flow back to the sea, completing the water cycle that has operated for billions of years. But the ocean does more than provide water. When water evaporates, it leaves salt behind, taking only pure water vapor into the atmosphere. So the ocean acts as a massive desalination plant, constantly purifying water and distributing it across the planet. Every drop of rain that falls on land, every snowflake that drifts from the sky, began as ocean water, purified by evaporation, transported by atmospheric currents. The ocean also influences weather and climate patterns through heat distribution. Warm ocean currents carry heat from tropical regions toward the poles, while cold currents return cooler water toward the equator. These currents, combined with atmospheric circulation, create the weather patterns that define our climates, that make different regions wet or dry, warm or cold. Ocean and atmosphere are in constant conversation, exchanging heat, moisture, and gases, each influencing the other in countless ways. You cannot understand one without understanding the other. They are not separate systems, but parts of one integrated whole, the Earth system that makes our blue planet unique. As we float here at the end of our journey, 2 hours having passed, 100 facts having carried us from surface to abyss and back again, let yourself feel the ocean's presence. Whether you live by the coast or far inland, the ocean touches your life. The air you breathe, the water you drink, the climate you experience, all influenced by the vast blue realm we've explored together. The ocean holds more wonders than we've touched upon tonight. For every fact shared, 1,000 more wait in the depths, in the currents, in the countless lives being lived beneath the waves. Each tide pool holds mysteries. Each deep trench harbors species unknown to science. Each cubic meter of seawater contains miracles too small to see but too important to ignore. As you drift now into sleep, imagine yourself floating peacefully in warm, gentle waters. The ocean supports you, holds you, rocks you with the rhythm of ancient swells. You're safe, suspended in blue-green light, surrounded by life and wonder. The ocean will still be here tomorrow, still sheltering its countless residents, still producing oxygen with each wave, still regulating climate with patient constancy, still holding mysteries in its depths. It has been doing all this for over 3 billion years and will continue long after we're gone. But tonight, it has shared some of its secrets with you. It has opened a window into worlds most humans will never see, into lives most people will never contemplate. From the smallest copepod to the largest whale, from the shallowest tide pool to the deepest trench, from sunlit coral gardens to the eternal darkness of the abyss, all of it part of one great ocean, one interconnected system of life and water and wonder. Sleep now, rocked by the memory of waves, calmed by the knowledge of depths beyond measure, at peace with the eternal rhythm of tide and current that has measured time since before time had meaning. The ocean continues its patient work, breathing with you, its waves matching your breath, in and out, calm and eternal. Rest well in the knowledge that the blue world continues, beautiful and mysterious, waiting for those who choose to know it, protecting life on this water planet, our home in the vast cosmos.